Hey everybody, it is time for a Twitch Tuesday trailer, and this September 20th at noon Pacific, I am going to be live streaming a recording of the Rahdo Talks Your podcast, which means I need you to email me questions to questions@rahdo.com. Get them in quick, but I'm also going to be unboxing 2 of these beauties. Hello! Hey, everybody. I was smart and I unmuted my mic. Yay for me! I'm a professional. I know what I'm doing. Presumably you can see me. Presumably you can hear me. And you can see all these fine games, 2 of which are about to be opened. And aren't you glad you got here early? Because you folks will decide which of these 2 games we are going to unbox and talk about before we actually get to the podcast recording. But good morning, everybody. Why is my phone beeping at me? I bet you it's Paolo. Paolo has been a real chatterbox this morning. Yes, he is. Okay. Paolo has been quizzing me about when am I going to move back to the EU, and I have been been telling him some of our potential future plans, and he said, "Well, you should just move to Portugal." And he's actually apparently he's found an apartment nearby that he thinks is perfect for me and Jen. And he ends with "consider that" smiley face. So there's a little bit of peek into my non-live streaming life when it just punches right into the live stream. Hey, Victory, how are you doing? Feld Fan, Gideo, AG Fox, 586. What is the 586? Was 585 taken? I don't know. But, yeah. This is just going to be a typical Live Tuesday. Next week, Ruel will be back, and we'll be doing the next episode of the R&R show, whereupon somebody will win a copy of Sagrada Artisan, so that's very exciting. But today, I am flying solo. And after we're done talking about these games, I am, like I said, going to be filming the podcast. And there were not as many questions that came to questions@rahdo.com this month. So it's going to be a little bit shorter than normal unless you folks come up with more questions. Which means start your question with a question mark. And once the podcast is over, and I'll repeat all this later in case you aren't picking up on it now. Once the podcast is over, I'll see if there are any good questions that would be podcast worthy, and I'll throw them in as well. And you folks can become part of the permanent record, as it were. Since, of course, nothing's permanent on Twitch, since after a few weeks, these videos always get deleted. Although, of course, I always do move them, unless I forget, over to YouTube. So the archive lives there. All right. Yeah, Spitza, I don't know if he appreciates just how much space. Well, I know he appreciates how much space all this stuff takes, of course. But how much space Jen's studio is? That is daunting. I mean, I don't think an apartment would do it. I mean, this is a small 3-bedroom house with a loft over the garage, and that's where Jen is. So it's really kind of like a 4-bedroom house, and that works for us. An apartment in Portugal probably wouldn't quite cut it. But what the heck? I'll reply later, and I'll say, well, yeah, send me a link. I'll take a look. Why not? You never know. You never know. Never say never, as it were. And hello, Kabuki, and Ruckus, and James. Oh, and also, while we were away since the last live stream, thank you to Zenzafina, wherever you are, and Fred33 for subscribing. Just continually working our way up to unlock some bonus stuff there. And, okay, but I think we've got enough folks to start the voting. So I am going to open and unbox and explain or give a basic introduction based on what little I know of 2 of these 5 games. You folks are about to vote on which 2 of these 5 games it's going to be. But let me clue you in on what they are. You may not know of all of them. Lacrimosa is the latest from DeVere, and man, DeVere is really on a tear. They are bringing their A game. This is their big box for the year. This is a heavy box. It's probably the second heaviest. I think, or it is roughly the same weight as Marrakesh over there. And actually, what was it? Tantrum House just put up a nice video just this morning. So I was looking at it, and oh my gosh, the components, the player boards in here for the multi-use cards are super cool. I think they're going to be very satisfying, better than Aquatica. So that might be something you want me to open and we take a look at. Meanwhile, there's King of Monster Island from Richard Garfield, which is the cooperative sequel to King of Tokyo and King of New York. And this is worth opening because it's got a volcano that's in the middle of the board. And if you make me open it, I'll put the whole thing together so you can get an idea of what this looks like. Plus, there's only one other video out there. Marrakesh, Lacrimosa, and Tilatum all have other coverage, but there's very little because, I mean, I'm going to be filming this in October. But you'd be getting a really early sneak peek at Cooperative King of Tokyo. It does some very, very cool things and has just about the neatest board presence you'd ever seen. So that might be why you open that. Marrakesh is the latest from Stefan Feld. I saw a Feld fan is in the audience, so I know there's at least one vote going towards this, plus however many show points. Because, folks, when this vote starts, remember, you can funnel your Rahdo runs-through points into there, too, and even bits if you want. So here's the deal. Paul Grogan is probably the second biggest Feld fan in modern board game media after me. I am the only channel in the world that can confirm I have filmed every single Feld game in existence. Very few people have done Spiel mit Lucas, or It Happens, but I've done them all. Anyway, but Paul, I know, is a super Feld fan too. This has eclipsed Trajan to become his number one. And I totally see why, because this seems like on the surface like it has some very Trajan-y vibes, but replacing the Mancala with the Cube Tower from Amerigo. So will this eclipse, I mean, Trajan is my number two. Will this push into my new number two Feld? Will it even push into my number one? Well, we'll find out eventually, but today we can open it and look a bit more closely. Then there's Teledum, the latest from Danielle Tassini and Simone Luciani. When these two work together, it's magic. Zulk the Mind Calendar is still one of the great Euros of all time. And this has a very, very cool approach to dice drafting. Multi-use dice drafting, let's just say, which is something I would love to see more of. And then finally, we've got Fit to Print. Now, I bet you anything, folks. I'm calling it right now. This one is not going to get your votes, but that's too bad because it's the latest from Peter McPherson, who is the designer of one of my top 30 games of all time, Tiny Towns. And what did he just put out? The pick up and deliver game. Oh, I can't think of it now. But I mean, that one, I keep saying Moonrush, but that's not it. That's not even remotely it. It's something. What is Peter McPherson's pick up and deliver space game? Wormholes. Thank you, Victory. Yeah, and Wormholes is really good too. I wouldn't be surprised if Wormhole makes a few top 10s at the end of the year. And this is the new one. Then, if you don't know anything about it, this is basically Peter McPherson's take on Galaxy Trucker and trying to improve on it. And there are some very, very cool components in here. And the reason you might pick this, if for no other reason, there is no video in existence on this game. So this would be world exclusive, opening it up and seeing the components there. But anyway, folks, those are the 5 we have to choose from. I should have actually had my poll ready ahead of time, but I didn't. Which 2 for you? Somebody just go on ahead and start this poll. You'll have 2 minutes to vote. And let's see, what is it? Lacrimosa, King of Monster Island, Island, and Marrakesh, and Teledum. I think I'm saying that right, or close to, and Fit to Print. All right, folks, you have 2 minutes to vote. Let me know which 2 of these we are going to open up and get into today. I have no idea what you have in mind, but I will move over here so you can still see my beautiful bearded face. I had every intention yesterday and today of shaving, but then I found out we were going to get raided. Who is that? Thunderglyph Games. Hey, welcome. Is there a particular saying I should shout out? Thunderglyph. Something like that, perhaps. Hey, Thunderglyph, you're just in time to vote. Looks like we have a minute and a half left. Which 2 of these games, which you all of a sudden can't see, oh dear, is it Lacrimosa you want to see unboxed? King of Monster Island from Richard Garfield? Marrakesh, I was not ready for a raid. Fit to Print, and Teledum. Which of these 2 are we unboxing today? And sadly, I know, oh geez, almost knocked them all over. Sadly, for folks who are paying attention to the trailer, I know I said Race to the Raft, which is basically the sequel to Isle of Cats, would have been on the ballot today for unboxing, and I wish it could because I'm very excited to talk about this, but I am under embargo, as it turns out. So this is all you get to see, the side of the box, and we'll just put it off to the side for now. Alrighty. So how is the voting going? I got to put my 1 vote in. Yep, Fit to Print gets no love. Well, it gets 1 vote from me, but I don't think that's going to turn it. Oh my gosh, Teledum is at the bottom? That is very surprising. And meanwhile, hey, Mike Adams, thank you for subscribing. Every time anybody subscribes, we are getting closer to unlocking more bonus content for the channel. I don't just put up one of those little things, hey, we're trying to get 20 new subscribers, and then what happens? Nothing. I actually give you stuff if you follow or subscribe or all the rest of it. So thank you, Mike. And by the way, if anybody else is thinking about it, did you know you can subscribe for free, which will give you a cool little avatar like Mike just got down there, if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber. But anyway, Lacrimosa, #1, King of Monster Island, #2, Marrakesh. I thought Marrakesh had a shot at it. And here's the thing. I'm kind of glad Marrakesh didn't happen, because if it did, oh, here's the other side of the box. If it had made it, I would have put the cube tower together live on camera. And I was really nervous about that. So I thought that was going to be a surprise if you chose it. You didn't choose it. You just made my life a little bit easier. Okay, so let's get that out of the way. Oh, and I was just using Sagrada to hold things up. But folks, hey, there's no contest giveaway this week, but next week we'll be back with the R&R show, and we'll be giving away 1 copy of Sagrada Artisans. How do you win? Watch the last episode of the R&R show, our top 10 roll and write games, and listen for the secret word. And I'll clue you in a little bit since you're here live now. The secret word is spoken by Ruel, not by me. So you know when I'm talking, you can just tune out. So it's going to be one of Ruel's games where the secret word is spoken. The secret word was crutches, if I recall correctly, because Ruel and I are both old and find ourselves needing crutches more and more. But anyway, watch. There's still plenty of time. We're not going to be doing that drawing until, what? So the Tuesday, the 27th. So basically you have a week from today to enter to win. And the thing is, you have, because entries are hard to do. You have to actually listen and find a keyword. Instead of the thousands of people who actually watch the R&R show, usually only a few hundred actually enter. So you have a better shot than most contests of winning. But anyway, let me get all this out of the way. Sorry, losers. It's all about Lacrimosa. Hello. And King of Monster Island today. After I get a drink of water and check to make sure everything is going okay. Hello, Javier from Thundergriff. I believe Thundergriff is actually one of the first channels that ever raided me back when I first got here on Twitch. And at the time, I'm not even sure if I knew what a raid was. It just suddenly happened, and that was all very cool. But anyway, it's good to see you all again, just in time to unbox Lacrimosa, chosen by you folks. Although, wait a minute, a couple of messages have come in. All right, oh, no, those can wait till later. So, where is my overhead camera? Boop. And it hasn't crashed. Hoorah! All right, let me make this a bit bigger so I can see what I am doing. All right, and so, as I mentioned, from, I think, relatively new designers, Gerard Ascendi, Ferran Renalius. But, like I said in the intro, Devere has really, really been bringing their A game in a big, big way for the last few years. Last year, they had Batoku, which was a monster production, and this looks like an even cooler production. Well, again, I've seen somebody else's video of it. Let's go ahead and scooch this over here. All right, there we go. Although, what is the situation? Mozart died and was unable to conclude his Requiem. A work of such magnitude cannot remain unfinished. The finest and most talented composers of the age must be hired in order to finish the score. In Lacrimosa, you become one of the patrons of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, who is willing to fund the completion of his unfinished Requiem. You will have to find the best composers, remember the most interesting moments in Mozart's life, and do everything possible to leave your imprint on the most important patron of the genius. So let's talk about doing that, shall we? Okay. Bye box cover. Wow, that is a very different bit of art than the box cover. Oh my gosh. I guess it's actually kind of morbid. Apparently, did it actually say it in here? I saw somewhere. Yeah. In 1791, on his deathbed at the age of 34, Mozart wrote the last 8 bars of his life, the Lacrimosa of the Requiem in D minor. That's amazing right there. And so I guess this is literally the final moments in English or many other languages. Jeez, wow, lots of languages. Okay, so out of the way, rulebook. Just take a quick looky-loo. And lots of historical information. Apparently, as it said on the back of the box, we are patrons of him in life, and his widow has asked us to help immortalize him, like he needed any help with that, by finishing the, what's it called? The Lacrimosa. And so and also she is writing a memoir of his life. So she also wants us to help her by recounting stories of our time with him when he was still alive. I have to admit, that's a really cool theme. I'm very, very intrigued by it. All right, yeah, there is working on the Requiem, there's travel, there's commissioning opuses, there's documenting our memories, performing or selling music, and let's see, what are the other actions? Okay, those are apparently the main actions we're doing. Then we go into maintenance and so on. Hey, big breakdown of the components in detail, cards, Skippy Dip, and a solo game, too. Alrighty. There we go. So, but let's get into it, shall we? All right, these are the player boards. Very, very nice. I mean, again, DeVere is so bringing their A game by saying, oh, look, here's a journal that opens up to be everything that we need to keep track of in this game, whether you're the purple, the blue, the yellow, or the green player, I guess. Yep. All right. And here's the deal, folks. Let me get out the cards. Let me reach off screen for my knife, which is always blade down, so I won't accidentally cut myself one time while reaching for it. So at any given time, as I understand it, on your turn, you have 4 of these cards in your hand. You're going to play 2 of them and then draw 2 more at the end of the turn. And the thing that is so cool about this game, do I have a zoom in? Yes, I think I do. Nope, that's not, it's me zoomed in. I want zoomed in of the overhead, boom, there we go, zoomed in. All right, I'm going to just bring this over here a little bit. Seems a little out of focus, actually. Did I not hit the... Hey, cameras, reset yourself. There we go. Oh, sorry, Lacrimosa. You were a little out of focus all this time. I'm glad I zoomed in so I could see that, because I'm actually looking on a tiny window. So anyway, you've got these multi-use cards. On your turn, you're going to play 2 of them. One of them goes up top, and that will be the action you're doing, those actions I talked about before. And they slide into this dual layer board. Oh, so nicely. It just feels so good. And meanwhile, then I got to pick another card to slide into the bottom. And these are resources that I gather, like some money, to help me with the other action I am going to do. And then those spots are filled in, and then we draw a couple more, and that's how we play the game. This is lovely. They really went the extra mile. There's like an overhang, so they just slot in so nice. It feels so lovely. They didn't have to do this. This could have just been a single layer board, and boom, you just play them on the edge of the board. But, like I said, DeVere is really... Hey, what's this? Apparently this is a card with no top action, so I guess you use it for the bottom. And as I understand it, it's also a bit of a deck builder game. You always have 9 cards, and over the course of the game, you'll be dumping some cards, your start and craft cards, and replacing them with better cards that are also thematically tied to stuff. But I do not know too terribly much about that. Plus, there's different objectives every time you play and all of that. So, this is where the coolness is for this game. These player boards are very, very neat. And let's see what else we got here. We've got a whole bunch... Not just cubes, but cool little tokens that represent the work we can do in the different player colors trying to finish the Lacrimosa, which is an area control element of the game. That's one of several different things that is going on throughout Lacrimosa. All of you guys, get out of the way, because we need to look at the big old board. Alrighty. Where are we going? What are we doing? Boop. Did I get it right? Nope. Upside down. There we go. So, down here, I was talking about, when I'm actually having composers contribute, I'm actually getting my notes on this board. This is the coolest area control dudes on a map game you've ever seen, where you're actually battling with notes instead of with muskets, which is very, very cool. Alternatively, you can be, let's see, somewhere in here, there we go, you can be reminiscing about your time with the maestro himself, and moving this around from city to city, because that's one of the things you can do is, have remembrances of all the good times you had with him as one of his most beloved patrons. But the thing is, players share this. So you might have been hoping, right, okay, he's in Paris, this is where I need him to go to interact with the thing, but then I end up moving him down to Lyon. And now you got to get him back up to Paris or change your plans. So this does seem like it's a very indirect interaction game. We're doing area control stuff. We are trying to get our universal avatar that represents all of us to the right place at the right time. We've got some more cool things. I do not know what all of these represent. Looks like wagon wheels and such. A whole bunch more cards. And I can't do this all day. Got another one to unbox, but we got some coins. Oh, we got a tuning fork. What do you want to bet that is the first player marker? That's nice. And then what are these? Well, that is a foreign language. So somebody who can read that, tell me, what is that? Oh, yeah, this is 100% not English, this particular one. So I can't tell you anything about that, but... Right, so, and then of course, there's all the Euro-y trappings, all kinds of tiles that you are grabbing that do all kinds of different actions and whatnot, and very lovely, well-adorned things in the art style of the time. And yeah, these are only... I don't see any English on any of these things on either side. That is interesting. I'll have to worry about that later. Okay, and I think that's about it. Yep, a few more pieces, which again, these are player pieces, and they went the extra mile and just didn't make different. But, you know, actually, what, is this a sticker? No, this is not a sticker. So this is, what do you call it? Not silk screening, but I forget the term. Somebody knows the term. They'll say it in the chat. So anyway, that's Lacrimosa. I am very excited about it because last year's Batoku was fantastic. But mostly it's for this thing. It's for these wonderful slots. Just putting this stuff in here, it just feels good. Oh, they're just in there, nice and snug. Absolutely lovely. Okay, boxing number 1 done. Boxing number 2, the King of Monster Island from the King of Tokyo universe. Alrighty, a cooperative game. Use your claws and fame to destroy the King of Monster Island. Choose your monster, roll the dice to damage, heal, and build. Unlike regular. Gain new powers. So I think the core of this game is very reminiscent of the Yahtzee style roll, reroll, reroll of what you got there. Hey, I just realized I don't have anything in my ear, so I don't hear when events happen. Oh dear. Let's see here. Or, I mean, did you folks hear? Are you guys folks hearing events? Was there an event when the raid came in? I didn't hear anything. Now I'm worried if sound is off. But anyway, I'll pay a little bit more attention. I just got a little carried away there. Oh, okay, Kabuki says you are hearing it. So, yeah, I forgot to put this in my ear, but I would have thought I would have heard it through the speaker. But maybe I just don't hear it over my bellowing voice. Increase your fame, recruit allies, fight 3 bosses with 6 difficulty levels, drop the dice in the volcano to determine their actions. That's what we're here to see, folks. Take me to the volcano. What is that a quote from? If you can figure it out, it is my favorite movie of all time. Take me to the volcano. And I think it might be Jen's too. Or it's certainly in Jen's top 5. Okay, but meanwhile, breaking news, rulebook. You know, nice little thematic intro there. Obviously, this is going to be a Gateway or maybe Gateway Plus style game. And from what I've seen of it, it really kind of gives me the Loop vibes, which is an amazing cooperative game. I don't know if this is going to be as good. Here are, I believe these are some of the minions you will face that are summoned by the big scary bad, the King of the Monsters. And these are probably upgrades. They have to do with dice. Hey, that's a bunch of green. We'll just keep it over here. Green on green screen, not a good idea. But here is the big thing. All right, this looks like all one thing. Yep, this is the base of the volcano. And here's like some stacks of cubes. And here's, okay, so this is it's some kind of tall crystal thingy. That's all fine. We'll come back to the board because this is what you came to see, folks. It's a plastic base for a volcano. And a bag to pull the dice out of. Here are, let's see, I believe these are the big bosses that we will be fighting against. And here's actually maybe the coolest thing about this game is the fact that, as I understand it, the characters that you can play in regular King of Tokyo and King of New York are completely compatible with this game. So instead of playing with Megamoth or Hades or Rex Flore or, that must be a boss. Or Pigger, I assume that's us. Or Purple Rain. Oh, and then here are our standees that move around the island. You can actually play with the characters that have come before. That is very, very cool. Now, unfortunately, I do not own King of Tokyo. I played King of Tokyo once, many years ago, and I got so bored so fast that I actively lobbied to get myself eliminated from the game, and I was happy to say I got out very quickly, and then Jen got stuck there for another hour, because it's just not our kind of game. So yeah, here's all the player cards with special powers and all the rest of it. Very, very nice, obviously. High quality presentation, as you would expect. Let's see. Big old dice. Are these the exact same dice as King of Tokyo? I kind of think so, but it's been so many years since I played. Was there building as an action before? I'm not sure. But, all right, get all of you out of the way. We got a bunch of cards. We got a bunch of green cubes. These seem very King of Tokyo-ish. We've got a bunch of, the stands for all the character player standees, of course. But, how do you put this thing together? All right, it goes like this. Right? We've got this. And so, what holds it together? All right, there must be something probably on the punch boards that holds this thing together. Or no, is it just this? Is it as simple as that? It's almost as simple as that. I think I just made a volcano. You tell me, folks. Let me come back to, there we go. It's a volcano! Let's put that volcano on an island. Island. Volcano. Come here, you. And so, yeah, this is where we're running around pandemic style. Or, again, to me it feels a lot more like the loop. Because we just have this kind of circular thing we're running around. And somewhere on the island is the big boss who can move around and do stuff, is dropping off minions, which apparently we spend more time fighting minions than we do the big boss, trying to punch through them. And we have our own dice that we roll, and I need a couple more punches, and re-roll Yahtzee style, like regular King of Tokyo. But then the boss has their own dice, these red dice. And this is where the fun happens. When the boss strikes back, as you might imagine, here they go. Whee! Okay, this region just got hit with an eyeball and a big crystal, whatever that means. And then later on, okay, oops, I have this set up wrong. Some assembly required. I failed. Let's see. Okay. Oh, I see. There's slots. These go into the slots. Right, so it doesn't just sit there loose like I just very poorly, I don't know how to build a volcano. All right, there we go. There we go. There we go. I'm literally figuring it out as I go. So, yeah, that's a bit more solid. So let's try this again. Overhead style. Overhead. There we go. And so there's big trouble over here. These are the safe areas. We got to deal with these. I believe the monster can use them as resources. We can potentially use them as resources, etc., etc. So we take our turns. We are running around, fighting monsters, doing all the kind of stuff you would do, trying to run them down, trying not to run out of health ourselves, and then dealing with all this stuff that keeps on getting dropped every time into the board, which is very, very neat. So Jen and I love the loop. Absolutely one of the best cooperative games in the last decade. Easily. Jen just recently gave it 5 stars on her 1 to 5 star rating in the Jen Jog show that we do for exclusive backers. And she gives maybe like 3 or 4 of those a year. And she gave one to the loop when we played the Fozilla expansion. So I expect, obviously, this is a sequel to King of Tokyo. So at the end of the day, I'm not trying to get myself too hyped up, right? Because this is going to be a lightweight, family-friendly game, just like King of Tokyo before it. But one where I'm working with somebody rather than against them. I'm just happy this exists, because it always drives me nuts when you have massive breakthrough hits as gateway games, and they're players trying to kill each other, and that's not showing all the people who don't know anything about modern design or board games that, hey, it doesn't have to be like Sorry. It doesn't have to be like what you think board games are. You can work with your families. So I wish this was the thing that was super mega popular, because it shows there's a different way, because it is better to work with people than try to kill them, in my experience at least. So anyway, folks, I will get off my editorial high horse and say, I'll move the camera out of the way. There were 2 unboxings as promised. All right, and we're a half an hour in, making good time. Let me get a drink of water. And let me get my keyboard back. And let me see what you think. All right, Kabuki has a lot to say, obviously. And I think everybody else is just being shy. And that's all right. We're just here to have a good time. That is totally cool. And, yep, Corthane, you got it. Joe versus the volcano. My favorite movie of all time. I'm not going to say the best movie of all time, but my favorite. I have seen that movie so many times. I love it so much. I can quote it in so many different ways. I could sing the cowboy, 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 riding towards me. I love everything about Joe versus the volcano. Such a wonderful hidden gem of a film that was very unappreciated in its time. It was like way ahead of its time. This is very meta, and back when meta wasn't a thing, and self-referential and charming as all get out. Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan at the height of their powers, from somebody Stanley, the writer-director of Moonstruck. But for me, I'll take Joe vs. the Volcano any day of the week. An amazing movie. Take me to the volcano. And just in time for that, Board Game Geek TV, hello! You just missed the unboxings! I just put away King of Monster Island, no! But welcome to the party, pal. You know what? Okay, just for you, I'm not going to do the whole thing again, but let me get the board back out. And let me get the volcano. I will take you to the volcano. You missed me fumbling around trying to figure out how to put this together live. So this is the cooperative sequel to King of Tokyo, where you can still use your King of Tokyo monsters, or King of New York monsters, or the ones that come with the game, to fight a big boss, King of the Monster Island, and all their minions. And every time the boss attacks, he takes dice and deploys them via the volcano and creates new problems for us. Very, very cool, neat. I'm looking forward to trying it next month. I should have a run-through up for this. I'm not sure about Lacrimosa. We'll have to see what the Rahdo runs through voters choose. People who back the show on Patreon, every month they get to vote on what gets covered on the channel. And I'm sure Tyloton will get chosen. And Lacrimosa might, or it might be Marrakesh. There's some really, really big ticket items that will be coming in October. No surprise, because it's that time of year. But anyway. Hey, and by the way, I noticed, Lincoln was... he was painting the miniatures for the Jurassic Park Legacy game. Is that correct, Raiders? I am curious. Did he at all talk? Did anybody ask him? Because if I'd been in the audience, I would have asked, hey, Lincoln, how do you like the game? Because I'm definitely interested in second opinions after the Dice Tower utterly destroyed Jurassic Park Legacy. I mean, really ripped it apart. And but I was kind of surprised by that. But let's see. And Joe King 2 versus 4 says yes. Yes to what? Of course, you might not even saying yes to me. Right. Okay. Tibby Blue has a question, but I don't think that's a question for me, having to do with the FDA and NyQuil. That is something I do not know about. So it looks like no other big events have happened. But thanks for showing up, everybody. 2 raids so far. That is very exciting. And, yes to the painting. Did he talk at all about the game, Joe? I'm really curious, because I have to admit, I am not the biggest Prospero Hall fan in the universe. I have played several of the games, and I thought, these are all great gateway games, but they just weren't real keepers for me and Jen, with the exception of Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman was excellent, and unfortunately, very overlooked. I thought Wonder Woman had some really cool design ideas in it. But overall, I mean, I've tried several of them, like the Back to the Future game, and this is nice, but just not for us. So I wasn't that keen on, Jurassic Park Legacy of Isla Nuba, I believe, until the Dice Tower utterly destroyed it. Gave it 3 out of 10, or 3 out of 10s or something like that. And so now I'm curious. I wasn't curious before, but now I'm like, I don't know if this I have to see. So I was just kind of curious, and it's like, nope. But they are going to play it on a future live stream. Okay, that is cool. That is good to know. I could have sworn they had already done that. Maybe, or back when they had the prototype. So I guess they've just gotten it and they're starting to play through their campaign. Well, I will look forward to that in the future. I mean, I just finished Sagrada Artisans Legacy a couple of weeks ago, so I'm kind of legacied out right now. But I am definitely keen on trying another one, so maybe before the end of the year. And speaking of Legacy Artisans, for the folks who just showed up late, we're giving away a copy of this. How do you win? You watched last week's R&R show, where Ruel and I did our top 10 favorite dice games. You find the secret word, you send it to contest@rahdo.com, and you are entered to win a Legacy game, or Sagrada Artisans, the Legacy game, which is excellent. And you have until Tuesday of next week to do that. So, since a few people are probably new here, I thought I should let you know, because that is very exciting. Phew. Okay. thing number one done. Double unboxing. How was it? Hopefully that was successful. Hopefully I gave everybody a little bit of an idea based on my little knowledge of the game. When I started doing unboxings, I would just say, oh, let's just see what's in here. I don't know. But that just feels so weak to me. So this morning, I spent a couple of hours reading rules and watching videos for all 5 games, just so that whichever 2 you picked, I would have been ready to talk about them in some detail. Okay. And, and also, if you do go watch the top 10 roll and write games to find that secret word to enter to win Sagrada Artisan, since you're here right now, I'll give you a clue. Ruel is the one who speaks the secret word, not me. Ruel. So don't listen to me for the secret word. Listen for Ruel. It's going to be one of his games. So now you have broken down. There's 5 of the games you can ignore, the ones I'm talking about, because it'll be one of his games, which is how we do our top 10s. 5 of mine and 5 of his. And it's like the Ruel and Rahdo top 10 combined sort of thing. Also, if you just want to know where it is, if you're a subscriber to the channel here on Twitch or on Patreon or you're a member on YouTube, I'll just tell you. Make it super duper easy. Because, hey, if you're financially supporting me, the least I can do is make it easier for you to win a really cool game. But all that aside, we have now got to move on to the main event, which is every month I record the Rahdo Talks Through podcast, and I put it at podcast.rahdo.com. It's on Apple, iTunes, and Spotify, and all the places podcasts are. And it's in 2 halves. The first half is me talking about games and channel-related stuff. And then the second half is when Jen comes on, and there's maybe a few game questions for her, but for the most part, we talk about personal stuff. What's the state of our lives? What are our thoughts about the events of the day? Advice, whatever, things like that. So today, I am going to be live streaming, recording myself, answering all the questions, the game and show questions that were submitted to the email address questions@rahdo.com. But as I was saying earlier, I didn't get as many this month as normal. It's going to be a shorter episode of the podcast, which is fine, because actually the previous month was almost 5 hours long. It was like way too long. So it's okay if we have a shorter one. But if you're here, while I'm going through these questions, if any of these maybe spark some questions of your own, send them my way. After I'm done recording, I'll take a look and see if there are any good questions that we should also throw into the podcast that are kind of podcast worthy. So they really need to be more game focused, and something that I could really kind of chew my teeth on, as opposed to simple stuff like, what's your favorite X? I mean, those are fine too. But anyway, if you want to put a question in for the podcast and had me hit it at the end of this show during basically a Q&A portion, start your question with a question mark. Right? Question mark, what's your favorite game? End question mark if you want. You don't need a question mark at the end. You need a question mark at the beginning, because that puts it into a special queue where I will not miss the questions, and then I'll review that queue and see if there's anything more. Right? Okay, so that's it. Let me get the Word document up, and so I can go on ahead and get you out of the way, right? And so I need to keep this and this at the ready. All right, so I've got the browser. I just keep this in case anybody asks me a question. I got to go look something up. I can just bring that up. This is a podcast you can listen to on audio, or you can watch the podcast on YouTube in video form, so you can actually see what I'm talking about, depending on how you want to go. Okay, and my phone just beeped at me again. Earlier, Paulo was chewing my ear off. I guess he forgot that this is live streaming week. And, oh no. Okay. Well, bad news, everyone. I was going to save this as a surprise till later, but after we were done with this, we were going to raid Ruel, my co-host in crime, the other half of the R&R show. He was actually going to be doing a very cool live run-through this afternoon at 2, and I guess I won't announce what it is, but I think it's an exclusive, if I recall correctly. But he just texted saying, emergency appointment with dentist. I won't be streaming at 2. This has been a month. Ugh. I'm sorry about that, man. Don't worry. Good luck with the tooth. Exclamation point. Smiley face. Boop. Sent. Alrighty. So, we'll be rating somebody else at the end of the show. Actually, you know what? I think, if I recall correctly, Ryan Crichton, a member of the Rahdo extended community, is going to be streaming this afternoon too. So maybe we'll raid Ryan if I'm right, if I'm remembering that correctly. But anyway, so, bad news, but don't worry. We will recover. There will be all kinds of good, fun board game talk today. Starting now, because I think I've got this ready to go. Oh wait, although before we go, whenever on a live stream we're about to do the main show we've come to do, first, you, audience, must battle to the death. Which means, let me go on ahead and unleash the Battle Royale. Exclamation point, Battle Royale. There we go. So basically, if you're a subscriber here on Twitch, you automatically get one of those cute little avatars you can customize and all that. And every week, the avatars fight to the death. And I see you just threw that in big in AJ Fox. It's not going to save you, but we'll see what happens. Okay, so I'm out in the middle of nowhere. AJ Fox was unhappy with me calling him out, and he backstabs me with his double fork action, and I return the favor to him, and oh my gosh, I'm surrounded. Kabuki Kid, and I make a break for it, but Billy Pat takes me out with a quick backstab, and AJ Fox is in trouble. One more hit and he's gone. But, Billy Pratt takes out me and AJ. And more importantly, Billy Pratt just got the health pack. This is Billy Pratt's battle to lose as he goes after Chlorthane. Run, Chlorthane! Billy Pratt almost goes back for another health pack and decides, nah, I don't need it. But now he throws down with Tibby Baloo. A lightsaber and an ice cream cone are not to be trifled with. And 2 health packs on the field. Tibby Baloo is now the odds-on favorite. As Billy Pratt throws down with the Nougat. Billy, get that health pack! Don't turn around, Billy! Oh, this is it, folks. Let the battle commence! Demon Skull versus Cool 3D Glasses and Ice Cream. It looks like Tibby Baloo has the upper hand, but Billy Pratt gets a backstab. Tibby Baloo turns around. Is it too late to turn around? Another backstab from Billy, which is a go-to move, but it wasn't good enough, Billy. You could have backstabbed everybody else, but not the Tibby. Nobody puts Tibby in the corner. Tibby Baloo is the winner. Gets 100 coins that they can use for further customization, although Tibby is looking quite sharp as it is. Your first win, Tibby. Congratulations. All right. Everything's coming up, Tibby. For you and for me. So, that was all cool. And by the way, folks, you can just engage each other in duels. You can actually even challenge each other to duels, where Mortal Kombat music plays, which gets me totally demonetized, but that's okay. I don't particularly mind. Actually, the times this happened, I don't think the YouTube has ever recognized or picked up on the Mortal Kombat music, or the the Star Trek music either from Alexander Courage. It seems like I think in the last podcast, I briefly put video on the screen of a movie trailer because I was talking about a movie that the person asked a question about, and that got me demonetized. I'm like, that's okay. Alrighty. Tibby, you should get back to editing, but it's a good thing you showed up, editing your notes to teach later, but Battle Royale is more important. Yes, it is, especially when you vanquish all comers. You've done very well today. Okay. So, let's get going. Let me find... Okay, so I can minimize you. And I've got my gaming questions. They're queued up. I've got the browser queued up, ready to go. So, okay, folks. Now, let's see. Let me just do a quick check, just a quick chatty check, and make sure there's not anything outstanding. Nobody's pointed out any issues. AG Fox! AG Fox is going for dinner. Because he didn't win, I'm sure. Oh, AJ. Hopefully you enjoy your dinner. Amok Time music, yes, Kabuki Kid. Although it wasn't just Amok Time. I mean, that was the standard go-to combat music in a lot of fights. It's just obviously most remembered from Amok Time. And is that because of Jim Carrey in The Cable Guy? Maybe. I don't know. It's forever blazing in my, as is all the Alexander Courage music. It is so lovely. Maybe it's not, but it's certainly lovely because it's part of my childhood. Alrighty. Oh, I see Time Roller is already looking at the first question. Alrighty. And, alright, okay, I see some questions are coming in. Cool. So, yeah, remember, folks, questions, start them with a question mark, as you saw Tibby Baloo do a little bit ago, and we'll get to those at the end. We'll do some Q&A. We'll raid somebody. It'll be a good old time. But for now, I am going to turn on the, hey, everybody, I am not listening anymore. So, although I will stop to say thank you, Thamad J, for subscribing with Prime. It didn't cost you anything, and it gets us, we are really close, folks, to unlocking a bonus video, which is cool, because I kind of need to unlock a bonus video. I mean, you just saw, I don't have time to film all these things, but you will make it happen if we keep on going. So thanks for the sub. Didn't cost you a penny. Very soon, Thema J, your avatar will appear somewhere down below. He comes with some basic stuff, and the longer you go, you accrue points automatically that you can use to customize. There's also down below the video a list of all the commands you can do. You can fart. You can give money to each other. You can play slot machines and all the rest of it. But right, we are going to get going. The reminder is up there. One last sip, and so I'm not recording the intro to the podcast, so this is just going to be jumping like 3 or 4 minutes in. What I just said before was, okay, folks, we'll be back right after this. Play a little bit of music and potentially an ad appears if an ad gets auto-inserted through anchor.fm, which is still the best podcast spot. I mean, if you've ever thought, I'm not getting paid to say this right now because this isn't part of the podcast, but I'll say it anyway. If you have ever thought about starting a podcast, it is so freaking easy to do with anchor.fm, and it's totally free, and you get distributed everywhere. And you can turn on ads, too, and make a little bit of money on the side. So, that's why I leave a few little bits. So, we might have just come back from an ad. Maybe not, because it's all automated. And we're just going to get right into the questions. So, right. Yes, Kabuki Kid, well spotted. Brain in a Jar. Another great channel here on Twitch that you can catch. You can subscribe to them so you get notices, or just follow them so you get notices when they go live. Called Brain in a Jar, of course, because the lady, it's a husband and wife team, and if I recall correctly, she is a neuroscientist or some kind of brain researcher. That is what she does in her day job, and for fun, she live streams board games. So it is a smart and very fun show. I went ahead and I wanted to support the show by buying a shirt and giving them some merch, and then wearing it for a month. The month is almost over. I haven't decided what shirt I'm going to wear next month. I keep trying to get Ruel to make a Tabletop Tonight t-shirt so I can wear his shirt. I'm getting to the point, folks, where I'm just going to make it myself and start wearing it. But anyway, yeah. I should say, by the way, Kabuki, the majority of their videos are still about games and not about neurology. It's just really, really cool. And that hence the name comes from Brain in a Jar. Although there are actually several jars here. Okay, so. And are you rocking an RRT shirt, Agfox? Thank you very much. That, by the way, folks, is another benefit for subscribing. Not only do you get an avatar, but you get discounts on Rahdo Runs Through merch. You just have to direct message me, and I will give you a 20% off code that you can use at merch.rahdo.com. You know what I should do? I've been pestering Ruel for almost 6 months now to make a shirt. I should just get his logo and put his shirt on my merch.rahdo.com. And then if people buy it, I will just transfer the funds directly to him. Since I already pay him to, appear on the R&R show and do run-throughs anyway. I don't know why that never occurred to me before. I'm going to talk to him about that and see if, and I should do that with everybody. We should have an RTM shirt and a Tabletopia, or a Tabletop Tolson shirt. And, of course, I know Ryan and Amy and Maggie, they already have their own merch stuff. I'll worry about that later. Today, I have delayed long enough. It is time. Chris has just been sitting here, waiting for his question to be answered. Not that he is actually physically here, but I can delay no longer. So, let's get going. One last sip now. All right. Okay. Okay, everybody, let's get going with the questions. First off, we have got Chris, who says, I recently picked up a copy of the original Shadowrun Crossfire from my local game store in a clearance sale. That is awesome. I think it's worth paying full price for, but I'm glad you got a bargain. Seems it's meant to be played like a legacy game with a structure that seems a bit confusing to me. We just play our first mission over and over until we feel strong enough for the later few. I know, continues Chris, this is one of your favorites, so I thought you might have an opinion on how to approach this. Do I need to pick up the expansion content? Thanks. For folks who don't know, Shadowrun Crossfire is my number 2 highest ranked game of all time. It is an absolutely brilliant cyberfunk. Cyberfunk. I said cyberfunk because it's cyberpunk crossed with fantasy. It's a cyberfunk. That's totally what I almost accidentally said a second ago while keeping my show clean. It's a cyberpunk game. Wow, that is just dangerous to try and say out loud. And I'm not there for the subject matter, but it's an incredibly fast-paced, 30-minute long cooperative game that is one of the most brutal and unforgiving co-ops the industry has ever seen. A fun, fast little deck-building game where players have to work so close together, and it just makes you rethink strategy you've learned from every other co-op you've ever played, and I love it to pieces. And Chris is right. It's not it does have legacy elements. Officially, you could call it a legacy game, because if you keep playing, if I recall correctly, the base game comes with like 3 or 4 different missions you can choose. And the base mission, the Shadowrun mission, is, or maybe it's the Crossfire mission, whatever. The base mission is, I'll tell you right now, Chris, I've played this game probably 70 or more times. I've never played the ambulators or I forget what the other ones are. I know there's like an escort mission, and then there's a dragon and stuff like that. I've never played any of that stuff. To me, those are just bonuses. Somewhere down the road, I'll get to them. But it's like I've never played. I mean, I've played Dominion dozens and dozens of times too. People have played Magic the Gathering millions of times, and none of them ever say, "Boy, I wish Magic the Gathering would have a completely different scenario I could play." Just the core mission for Shadowrun Crossfire is infinitely replayable, even without the expansion, although there's some very, very cool stuff in the expansion. Some new missions, which again, I've never played any of them, and I don't care about them. I just cared about all the extra cards that you can deck build with. So that was all very cool. But as you keep playing, whichever mission you play, if you win, you earn, I think they're called karma points, which are basically experience points. And it's a very, very slow drip feed where, once you've won maybe 20 games or something like that, you can level up and put one sticker. Games comes with all these sheets of stickers you can put on your character sheet. And as you get stronger and stronger, you have to modify the missions so that they get tougher and tougher to beat you. And you do all this because the ultimate mission, defeating the dragon, which I'm sure is some big important dragon in the lore of that world, you have to be literally level 50. I have played not quite 100 times, and if I recall correctly, we're somewhere in our mid-20s or 30. So I would still have to keep going. I have never once been bored with a game of Shadowrun Crossfire just playing the base mission. I have unlocked the other ones if I wanted to play them. We have put several stickers on, but I'm just as happy to go back and play as a completely novice character without any leveling up at all, because it's just an infinitely replayable cooperative game. So the main thing I have to advise you, Chris, if you do want to play it as intended, don't think about this as, a lot of people complain that Shadowrun Crossfire, it takes so long to level up. And it's like, you're not supposed to feel that way. Leveling, it's just every time you play, you're just a little bit closer. It's supposed to feel less like a legacy board game and more like a massively multiplayer online game. Did you ever play EverQuest? It could take you months until you could level up to the next level or whatever it might be. And then it was like a huge deal when you did and you got a new thing and all of that. That's what the game is intended to feel like. So if you go with the flow, I think you will find it engaging. But me, I would have happily played all those games without any leveling up whatsoever. But I do find it makes every single game I play, win, lose, or abort, which is kind of like a semi-win, more meaningful, because I know I'm just scoring just a few extra little points to get me just a little bit closer. And, as an old school EverQuest player, I appreciate that. Now, of course, what you could also do is say, to heck with it. I'm just going to say I'm level 50 right now and just apply stickers you want. But I think you'd be robbing yourself of some of the joy of the game. So, and also, the expansion is very, very difficult to get. It's nice, but it is not necessary. I have mixed all those cards in with the base, but if I hadn't, I don't think I'd be missing them too terribly much. Try the game out. See if you're going to fall hard in love with it as we did, and then you might find that it's worth seeking out the expansion, which I think commands fairly high prices, because it's so long out of print. So anyway, that's some Shadowrun Crossfire talk. Alrighty, but then Chris continued with a second email. Hi, I was wondering, how does one become a contributor to the channel? It seems like so far, the path would be to form one's own channel and try to demonstrate a good ability to demo and explain games, and then have you notice them somehow, probably by building a big enough following. That's kind of it. You don't have to, you just hopefully get noticed. You can reach out, but honestly, the growth of the Rahdo Runs Through channel, bringing on contributors, doing additional things, all of that stuff has been driven by my channel manager, a friend of mine I've known for years, who eventually, he kept pestering me to start trying to take the channel more seriously. So I said, well, you do it, and you become my channel manager. And so he handles all of that. His number one criteria is, has the person been going at this for a while? Because what he doesn't want to do is, somebody who's just excited, loves my show, and says, I could do it too, pick up a camera, do a test, and then finds out a couple months later, this isn't for me, and they stop. He only wants people who are in it for the long haul, ones who can go the distance. And his first metric is, hey, they have to have been running their channel for at least a year and show that they are serious about this. And if so, then take a look at their their videos look and see if it seems like they've got what it takes to be able to communicate with the same kind of spontaneous, just off the cuff patter that I do, while still being, high energy and positive, because those are kind of the hallmarks of my channel. There are plenty of people out there who rip stuff apart. You'll never see me do it, because if I don't have something nice to say, I don't say anything at all. So that's kind of what we're generally looking for. And it's really, it's more than anything else a question of, hey, if you've really put in the time, then contact us and we'll take a look. Alrighty. Daniel, moving on, says, 1. What has changed after YouTube hid the dislike counter for your channel? Did your videos start getting less dislikes or something else? No. I mean, I've generally not gotten very many dislikes anyway. Most of my videos only get a small percentage. There's been a few exceptions to that, but I don't think it's really changed much at all. I mean, and it's not, well, there is a plugin you can get for Chrome, and I assume for other browsers if you want, that turns it back on. All that data is still there. I've got it turned on. I can see how many thumbs down any show gets. Honestly, I am not quite certain. I didn't really look into it too much. I assumed there are very, very smart people at YouTube, Alphabet, Google, whatever, who looked at this situation. As I understand, the choice was made because a lot of content creators were suffering like real mental trauma, just getting deluged with all kinds of stuff. And YouTube gives the creator a lot of control over how dickwads, and I'll just say jerks, I could say a lot worse, how they can be left off the channel, how they can just be sidelined and not even know they're being sidelined. It's a very nice system, but there was no way to control that for thumbs up and thumbs down. And I mean, I would assume, I mean, it's never happened to me, but of course, bigger channels, if you run afoul of some cult of personality media type, then their minions will descend on you and blanket every video you've got with billions of thumbs downs. And I guess that's, I guess that's problematic for some people. I don't think I'd be bothered by it, but I totally would not discount or dismiss anybody who does find that to be distressing. And so YouTube says, hey, why do we have to be there? We would like, and this I completely agree with. Board Game Geek did this same thing years ago. Many, many years ago, Board Game Geek had thumbs up and thumbs down. And many, many years ago, Scott Alden, the head of Board Game Geek, said, we're killing the thumbs down, because all it does is create an atmosphere of negativity. Giving people a tool to be negative towards others just incentivized and encouraged more negativity. And Scott said the day they turned off thumb down on, he said this many, many times to me, and I've seen him talk about it publicly, it instantly elevated the discourse of the site, because suddenly there wasn't always this thing where, I can say I hate you by pushing a button, and that kind of encourages me to, maybe I'll say I hate you out loud too. I mean, not that there isn't still lots of terrible stuff going on. It's a public forum. There's no getting around it, and they're always trying to stay one step ahead of it. So it was so successful for Board Game Geek. Not that I'm saying the engineers at YouTube and the designers at YouTube said, we should do what that Board Game Geek did, but I expect they're trying to go for the same thing, because of course, YouTube comment fields are notoriously toxic cesspools of garbage unless you carefully prune and maintain them. That's what I do now. You will never, at least on any video that's gone up for the last year, see anybody being a jerk to anybody. I just don't allow it. And I totally respect YouTube saying, hey, what can we do to signal that's our intention too? We want this to be a place where people come together with positivity in mind and sharing good feelings rather than trying to rip each other down. So to me, more than anything else, it's probably just symbolic. Because again, they are still there. You can do the plugin and still see them if you want. So I agree and applaud it on a symbolic level, but it hasn't made any difference to me. I don't think I have seen any change in numbers one way or the other as a result. Alrighty, continuing on, Daniel asks, number 2, you said that when a publisher offers a game, you tell them to pick which one of the contributors to the channel will do the playthrough. Do you sometimes then go, me, instead of offering other contributors? And if yes, how often do you do that? Okay, so what we're talking about here, behind the scenes stuff for the show. Largely speaking, there are two buckets that content on my channel falls into. Sponsored content and non-sponsored content like this today. No, actually that's not true. I'm sorry. The podcast is actually sponsored. I just got a sponsor back. Hooray! Which means I can do more run-throughs that are unsponsored, because I was having to take one of my monthly unsponsored run-through slots and put the podcast in. But Elf Creek is back, baby, and so I've already talked about them at the beginning. You already saw that at the beginning. And what were we talking about? Oh, Paradox Initiative, if I recall correctly. So, unsponsored stuff, what were we talking about? Unsponsored stuff, I pick all of those. Actually, that's not true. I generally talk with, I was talking about it earlier, Andrew, my channel manager. Oh, and hello, Raiders. I'm sorry, I'm in the middle of filming a show right now. Welcome to the party. I'm just going to keep on doing the show, though. Say hi to the audience. They'll tell you what's going on. Sorry, folks. I'm actually streaming this live to you podcasters who are watching this at some point in the future. What was I just saying? Oh, right. So I work with my channel manager to decide which games are going to be covered that are not sponsored by publishers, i.e. basically Kickstarter previews and GameFound previews and stuff like that. I generally take 2 or 3 of them, and then the other ones get distributed amongst the contributors. And I mean, we're choosing based on, well, what do the contributors like to play? I mean, the reason Shay is on the channel is because he loves dungeon crawls and dudes on maps more than I do. And, we still need to get Kimberly doing some role play games, because she's like a really avid Dungeon Master role player with her students at the university she teaches at. So, and Ruel is just the nicest, friendliest guy in the universe, so we're trying to get more party games going with him and stuff like that. So we pick all those, but the voters who back on Patreon pick what I film. And then the other stuff, which is usually about 40% of everything that goes up in a given month, is sponsored Kickstarter previews. And that's what Daniel is talking about. So when a game is looking to appear on the channel because they're launching their Kickstarter, their crowdfunding campaign, they contact us. We say, send us the rules. We'll take a look. Those rules then get sent to everybody. All of us independently look at the rules and tell Andrew, the channel manager, if we want to do it or not. 9 times out of 10, all of us say no to everything, because there's so much stuff out there that none of us want to spend our time on. We just want to play fun games. We want to play good games. We don't want to play games that we then have to turn around and rip apart. It's just none of us are interested in doing that. That's another thing. If you want to come onto my channel and be, hey, I'll be your Angry Joe and rip stuff apart, well, we're not looking for that right now, thanks. But anyway, so everybody says whether they want to do it or not. And then, as Daniel says, Andrew, I just said his name. My channel manager's name is Andrew, folks. Sorry, Andrew. I know you want to stay behind the scenes. They know your first name now. Anyway, Andrew then sends a list. Hey, Kimberly wants to do it, and Ruel wants to do it, and Rahdo wants to do it. And, here's the prices and whatnot, because it is a sponsored preview. They pay more for me because they foolishly think that I can, do better for them, when in fact, I mean, everybody's doing a fantastic job. But regardless, and they pick. I don't think we've been in a situation where I have called an audible and said, hey, no, nobody else gets to do this. This one's me. We always leave it in the hands of the publisher. And honestly, I am always ecstatic when it's not me, because I have all these other people on the channel because I want to support them, because I already love the shows that they were doing and I want them to be more successful. So I want them to do more content. I want them to get paid. I mean, I'm much happier they get paid instead of me. If they end up doing it, I don't see any of the money. It goes to them, although a little bit gets set aside for in a bucket for show expenses like hosting and stuff like that. So no, I have not as yet had to do that. The closest has been, what has happened a couple times is I have said yes to a game and then it didn't work out. Either because it turns out, oh, I don't have time, or I freaking hate this game and I made a terrible mistake reading the rules. And then we will go to the others and say, well, hey, does anybody else want to give this a try? That has happened specifically with a few times. ISS Vanguard, I did not like it at all. But Shay loves it. It's one of his favorite games of all time now. He's done so much content on his own channel for it. So we just packed it back up and sent it to him. And I think maybe Kimberly's picked up a game or two that I have passed on after we actually got it on the table. This is how, folks, when everybody says, hey, why do you only ever do positive stuff? Because if I only have bad things to say, I'm just not gonna film it. I'm not gonna waste my wife time playing the game. I'm not gonna waste my own time filming it when there are so many good things that I could be filming instead. Life is too short to focus on the garbage. Although, again, not that they were garbage, just that I hate them. ISS Vanguard is a brilliant adventure game. It just has so much dice rolling, it was too much for me. It became overwhelming. It was numbing. But Shay loves it to pieces, as do other people, as an example. So I think that's the closest it's come to. I've never exercised executive privilege, at least not yet. Alrighty. Next up, Dieter wonders, 1, what is your least favorite board game mechanism and why? Oh, well, I've got a few candidates. I've got a roll to resolve is generally you got to do something really special. Same for broadly board traversal. A game where you have to spend a lot of your time and effort just moving around on a board. Again, as I said, the game has to be really special to overcome that because, hey, I get 2 movement points every turn, and it's going to take me 4 turns to get from this cave to that city so I can sell my loot is just kind of a, kill me now. Again, I mean, there's lots of cool ways to get around that, shortcut teleporting systems or neat ways that you can spend resources or all kinds of fun stuff, but just basic traversal is always kind of dull to me, which is why pick up and deliver is usually a no-no for me. But it's really easy. My least favorite board game mechanism is take that. Because why? I just, there's something about my brain chemistry. I cannot enjoy the act of sabotaging you. And it's not, a lot of people say, oh, he just doesn't like to punch his wife in games. I don't want to punch anybody in real life or in cardboard form. I just don't see how it is fun. Whenever I'm called upon to do it in a game, I am just racked with, oh, I'm so sorry I have to do this to you. I know you were having fun over there and I have to come in and now I have to kick your sandcastle down and then you got to start rebuilding. But this is the best thing I can do for my game. I hate that. And it's just hardwired into me. I don't know if I popularized the term Care Bear in the board game because I've always called myself a Care Bear player, but it seems like that's a term everybody uses now, and I mean that's me to a T. So it's very broad. There are a million ways you can do take that, but any form of take that. Dieter continues, has your board game taste changed over the years? Yes, it has. Yes, it very much has. And it ties into that previous question, Dieter. Because when I first started, 12 years ago, I got bit by the board game bug when Pandemic brought me in and then Agricola kept me around. Back then, I had a much higher tolerance for player screwage. And that lasted for years. There were plenty, for the longest time, back when I was doing regular every month, a new top 10, and my audience got to vote, one of the perennial favorites, I'm like, hey, I'm ready to talk about all the games where you can punch each other, that Jen and I actually enjoy. I was always ready to do that. I had a solid 10, where in spite of the fact that we don't want to punch each other, in these games we don't mind so much. I think by now, all these years later, every single one of those has been removed from my collection. Like, Oh geez. I can't think of any of them now. There was like one that was kind of like James Cameron's Aliens on a space station where the board was a rondel. It was from Portal Games. Oh, another one from Portal Games, Stronghold, which is a really cool 2-player head-to-head. One player is the invading armies. The other player is the castle. And it's like this big, huge, heavy, rich recreation of like epic fantasy battles like, the Siege of Khazad-dûm and stuff like that. And at once upon a time, Jen like, oh yeah, we'll play that. We'll spend a few hours doing that. But over time, as I have been exposed to more and more variety of player interaction that is not destructive, that I have found myself having less and less patience for player interaction that is destructive because it just simply does not need to be there. I love playing a multiplayer solitaire game where we're all in our own little gardens doing whatever we need to do to win, and every once in a while, oh, that's really interesting what you're doing. That's really cool. I can't wait to see who wins. You took the thing I wanted. I love that, but I also love a game like Free Radicals. Oh, you just said off screen, you can't see it. That really works into the gameplay, ways that even though you and I are competing, I can give you positive incentives that help you move forward, but help me move forward more. That is how I would rather interact with you. And so, like I said, this was a slow change that that took place over years. And it's really only like within the last 3 or 4 years that I got rid of my last of those old holdouts of the games that I always used to say, oh, I keep these around because, yeah, I used to like Hellas, not Lords of Hellas, but the old Hellas, the super little tiny dudes on a map game, which had really cool card play. And Atlas was another one. And oh, that's driving me nuts. I cannot remember the space station one. Oh, and another one from cool, I mean or not, Tash Kalar was a great little one. But ultimately I got rid of all of them because I just didn't need them anymore. If I'm going to sit down with you for an hour or 90 minutes or 2 hours, I'd rather work with you. Even if we have competing goals. To me, that is more engaging. So yes, that is the main way my tastes have changed over the years. I used to play a ton of Small World back in the day, and I was pretty good at it. But that is unthinkable to me to want to play that game now. Let's see. Dieter continues. Are there any games that used to be in your top 100 that you don't like playing anymore? Well, yeah. Well, once upon a time, I had exactly 100 games, and probably of the majority of those are gone. But let's test that. Let's go to. So I need to bring the browser up. Let's go to gone.rahdo.com. Now, of course, the problem is, once I remove a game from my collection, I also remove the ratings for it, and instead, I just note on Board Game Geek, hey, here's all the games I got rid of, and here's why I got rid of them. Here's why I got rid of Dune Imperium. Here's why I got rid of Seven Wonders Duel. Here's why I got rid of Power Grid, or Clans of Caledonia, or Sleeping Gods, or Clank in Space, etc., etc. So, and what is this? This is a list. I think each one of these pages is 100 on it. No, okay. This is 1,055 games. For anybody who says, oh, Rahdo loves everything he plays, may I suggest you check out gone.rahdo.com, where I've gotten rid of over 1,000 games that we decided not to keep for various and sundry reasons. I would like to enter that into evidence, folks. So, but anyway, we need to look at old ones. Although there is one trick. A lot of, probably maybe upwards of 30% of this list is got rid of because of international move or got rid of because I don't have enough shelf space. But even still, when we moved from Malta to the United States and we had to get rid of a third of our collection, I still had to make choices. And I kind of made it easy on myself, and I just posted publicly, I would not have gotten rid of this game if we weren't moving and I had to get rid of something. But there's still reasons. Why did I get rid of Hamburgum over something else when we did the international move? And Hamburgum is a fantastic game from Matt Gertz, the spiritual prequel to Concordia. Why did I get rid of Hamburgum? Because I've got Concordia. And while Concordia is a very different game, it's basically Matt Gertz Rondell without the Rondell. I ultimately decided, hey, you know what? If I were to ever play Hamburgum, if I ever had a window to play Hamburgum, I would probably, well, first of all, I would probably play the sailing one that I can't think of the name of now, that's even better than Hamburgum, but I'd probably play Concordia over both of them. So, I mean, a lot of these are, one game killed another. Let's see, I'm just looking around for ones that say, oh, you know what I need to do? I need to go to a later page because that's where, because this is sorted by, is this sorted by date? No, this is sorted by popularity on Board Game Geek. Let me sort by last modified. So then we end up looking, the oldest game I got rid of, Burgenland, Campaign Manager 2008, El Capitan. Let's see, I'm looking for any of these that might have been in my top 100. Musketeers du Roy, Triumvirate, Safrafino, Perry Rodin, Cosmic League. One of the first games that made me realize I don't like pick up and deliver. Scotland Yard, I tried it. It was way too simple. Walkstar. Walkstar is very good. But at the time, Jen, my wife, could not handle real-time gaming at all. This was still when we were fairly early in board gaming. This was back in 2011 that I wrote that. I think she could probably handle it more now because since then, she ultimately fell in love with Escape Curse of the Temple. And Escape Curse of the Temple helped her get over her distaste for real-time gaming. And I bet you anything, we would enjoy Walkstar a lot right now. Would it make it into my top 100? Maybe not, but it was an excellent game. But it got rid of for a particular reason because at the time my wife just couldn't handle it. So that's one. And, but I'm looking through these. Boy, I really love the original Reiner Knizia Lord of the Rings cooperative game. But no, there's no way it's going to be a top 100 game. Which of these could be top 100 today? I'm going to be willing to bet probably nothing. there's probably nothing that I've gotten rid of at some point. Hey, there's Small World Underground. Remember, I used to, but this was back when I got rid of it because it wasn't very good as 2 players. You'll notice, back in 2014, I didn't say, getting rid of this because what am I doing? I'm a Care Bear player. I don't want to attack other people. Back in 2014, I got rid of it because I didn't have anybody besides Jen to play it with, and Small World is not great with 2. It's okay, but it's not great. Now, if I had it today and I were getting rid of it, I wouldn't even talk about that. I'd say, oh my God, it doesn't fit me anymore. So that's like a direct example of a game that, shows my evolution as a gamer. But I think, to answer your question, Dieter, it's probably not going to have happened. Yes, of course. Once upon a time, I had 100 games. I probably still have 20 of those games. So 80 of those went away, but that doesn't mean they were top 100 of all time material. All right. Continuing on, Dieter says, Dieter said that. Dieter then says, Dieter likes a caveat. I don't mean Marvel Champions because of expansions or 7 Wonders, but purely game-based, don't like playing more because you've grown as a player. Yeah, okay, I think I did answer your question, Dieter. Number 3, which segment of your show do you like doing the most? The podcast, the run-through, the roundups, the final thoughts, the R&R show, or something else? Well, of course, the podcast. Because here I am talking to you. And if we were in the R&R show, I'd say, of course, the R&R show. And if it was in the middle of a run-through, I'd say, of course, the run-through. But no. Honestly, what's kind of a two-edged sword. While I'm filming, probably my favorite thing to do is the R&R show that I do with Ruel. Because I just really love hanging out with Ruel. Ruel is one of the kindest souls, one of the most genuine people you will ever meet. I've hung out with him in real life quite a bit now at Dice Tower West convention. We played games in person, played lots of games online. We've had nice chats, and I just think he's one of the best people I've ever known. Just so pure and honest and wonderful, and all the hardship he's going through right now because of the plumbing and whatnot. Oh, it breaks my heart. But I really enjoy once the show gets going. But man, the lead up to every live R&R is so stressful to me. I'm live streaming this right now, even though I'm recording this for a podcast for later, is so stressful. And I just get so wrapped up. My wife knows, just stay away from me on Tuesday mornings because I'm stomping around the house because inevitably X, Y, or Z has broken with 30 minutes left before we go live. And you never hear me curse on the show. I curse all the time like a sailor in real life. And the being in the video game industry for 20 years will do that to you. And so I like it once it gets going. I like the final end result, but I wish I was more like Will Wheaton on the old tabletop show. Will Wheaton just had to show up and play the game. And just, hey, tell somebody go do everything for me. And in fact, actually, when we started doing the R&R, Ruel was doing everything for me. But then I wanted to do all the fun stuff, like the little stream avatars and the events and all of that. And Ruel didn't know how to do that, so I took over and started so I could do all that stuff. And so I think, I'm going to say, but honestly, my number 2 would be the podcast, actually. 1, because it's kind of the easiest thing to do. It's just, hey, a bunch of emails came in. I got to sort them by name and copy and paste them in here, and then I just sit down and talk. This is something that I feel just comes naturally to me. I feel I'm very good at it. People always like doing things that they're good at in life. It just makes them feel good if they're succeeding. And I feel like I am a genuinely engaging conversationalist. And so, and plus, the second half where I sit down with Jen, sometimes some of those questions can get really interesting. Sometimes it'll reveal stuff that I don't know about my wife, even though we've been married for since 1991. If you ever get married, folks, life hack tip, put the date, have it inscribed on the inside of your wedding ring. Very, very handy. So I really enjoy doing the podcast too. So I would say number 1 and number 2 are the R&R show and the podcast. Honestly, the run-throughs are my least favorite thing because it's super stressful. I'm flying without a net. And I'm always nervous that I'm going to make mistakes. I'm always nervous I'm going to misrepresent the game. And I'm always here, this is me being pretty natural, just talking to you. Although, honestly, if I'm really being natural, I'm a very quiet, shy, withdrawn person who you really have to pull out and then I'll start talking. But this is something I can turn on, the Rahdo persona. But doing a run-through, even though it's all spontaneous, it's all in the moment, it is a high-wire tension act. And, I mean, you can talk to other people. The first time they ever try to do a run-through like I do, they all say, oh my God, that's really hard. And even though I've been doing this for a decade now, it's still hard for me every time. But what I've done is, over the years, I've done everything I can to make it easier for me. Most notably, my shift over the last year or so to really kind of focus more on solo play, because if I do a solo run through, I'm only having to strategize for one player instead of two. I can't tell you how much easier that is. And I'm less likely to make a lot of mistakes. And it's good for the audience too, because hey, if I don't have to spend a lot of time on my opponent's turn explaining their thought process, then we get twice as far into the game. So players get to see more of the experience of the game. Although I should say, for the record, I know some people really hate whenever I do a solo run through because they feel like they're missing out. I never do a solo run through if the solo mode does not accurately recreate the experience of the multiplayer game. And you just have to trust me on that. I've played it multiplayer, I've played it solo, I feel like, hey, yeah, they're pretty much the same experience, okay, I'll film solo. If it's a different experience, I won't film solo. And then I'll be a little bit more stressed while I'm filming. But anyway, yeah, hopefully that answers your question, Dieter, with some answers. Maybe I've answered your next question already. Number 4, who is your favorite board game reviewer? And who? That is not a member of the Rahdo Runs Through crew. See, that's a tough one. Because if I just go off the top of my head, 1, I probably won't remember the right person to say. And 2, I will insult a lot of people who I really love and I think they're great, but I just didn't think of them in the moment. But the worst would be say, hey, who's my favorite of the people who are on the channel? I'm certainly not going to do that. I love them all equally. Let's see. All right, so, okay, what I don't want to do is, I do not want to list a whole bunch. I just want to pick one. Although, man, instantly, I'm thinking of a whole bunch. Thinking of a whole bunch of channels. But you asked for my favorite. Shelfside. I'm going to say Shelfside is my favorite YouTube channel. And in fact, at one point, we were almost going to have the Shelfside guys, Dan and Ash, be on the channel as well. It didn't work out. But, oh man, that would have been amazing. Because I'm just a huge fan of them. Maybe that's why they popped into my head. Because I like them so much, I did want them on the channel. And why? I mean, well, first of all, you said review. Now, there are a lot of channels I love that don't do reviews, right? So I'm just going to skip over all those. That helped me just leave a lot off. So, and if I'm really trying to think about what do I appreciate in a review, well, a few things. 1, a reviewer who can really paint a picture as good as my run-through. Because most reviewers cannot do that. Most reviewers, I watch their review and I walk away, well, I guess I know how you feel about the game, but I don't know about how I feel about the game. That is true for probably the vast majority of board game reviewers there are. Because they all follow the same formula that was pioneered by Scott Nicholson and then ratified by Tom Vasel of, hey, we're going to do an intro where I'm just going to show you some stuff and basically give you a truncated read of the rules, which I'd have a better understanding if I just read the rules myself, and then I'll tell you what I think. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's useless for me. So I need somebody who digs deeper, somebody who can speak more in depth, articulating the experience of the game rather than the mechanisms of the game, which is what that Scott Nicholson, Tom Vasel approach tends to do. And again, there's nothing wrong with it. It just generally, very rarely gives me a sense of what the game really feels like to play. So there are channels that do this, Shelfside is one of them. That's why I was wearing their shirt for a month last month, because I think they're so great. But then there's another thing, because there are several channels who can do this very well. But then there's another thing I really appreciate in a review channel. Don't be mean. Gets back to my Care Bear nature. If I see a review that is just savagely ripping something apart, almost gleefully, that just makes me sick to my stomach. Because as a video game developer, I have over 20 years of experience being on the other side, being savagely ripped apart. Because, hey, I worked on some of the worst video games of all time. Bubsy 3D, anyone? And so I know what that feels like. And I am too weighed down with the shackles of empathy to feel good about somebody else doing that to somebody. You might as well just walk up and start punching them in the face repeatedly, and I'd have kind of the same visceral response. So while there are some channels that do a great job of it, the first thing I just said, they also can just be real mean-spirited. And undeservedly so. Hey, you know what? If you didn't like the game, how about you just cover the next game? How about you talk about, if you really want to rip a game apart, go ahead and talk about it in your podcast or a blog or something like that. But to blast it out for thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people to see and then just destroy this little unassuming game that somebody poured their blood, sweat, and tears, their heart and soul into, it just breaks my heart so much. And so here's the thing. Coming back to Shelfside and Daniel and Ash, they are much more critical than me. I mean, and that's not to say I'm not critical. When I'm critical of something, I just don't film it. They will be critical of something, and they'll film it, but they won't do it in an aggressive or nasty way, unlike some other channels do. And that just seems like, I just literally want this game to fail. I want to ensure that this publisher never publishes another game again, and everybody else, scorched earth policy. So that, I don't know. Hey, everybody's got to do what they're going to do. I don't begrudge anybody, whatever path they're on. It's just not for me. And Dan and Ash do a fantastic job of being sometimes very critical, but doing it in a positive and constructive way, while at the same time really capturing the spirit of a game in a way that few channels do. So, Dieter, I say Shelfside. Okay, let's move on to Gerald, who states, you prefer shorter games, but you prefer playing Ark Nova over Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition. What would Ares have to do to outrank Ark Nova? Use Ark Nova's card action selection system? Oh, Gerald is trying to catch me in a trap, because Gerald, no doubt, has gone to games.rahdo.com, which anybody can go to. Now I'm curious. Hold on a second. Let's go to games.rahdo.com. Alrighty. And I got to bring the browser back up. And, all right, so Ark Nova, I can type Ark Nova, is my number 43 highest ranked game of all time. And what was the other one? Oh, Ares Expedition. Terraform is my number 127, which may sound, oh my God, that's terrible. Again, you saw I've gotten rid of 1,000 games. I have 400 games on me. I've probably played another 3,000 or 4,000 on top of that I never actually had, et cetera, et cetera. I've played, I've done run-throughs for 1,600 games. So being number 127 out of 1,600 ain't bad, but it still sounds bad when it could have been. So why? What's the difference? Why? Because Gerald is kind of right. No, Gerald is 100% right. I do, as a general rule, prefer shorter games. But that's for a very specific reason. Because I have a lot of games to play and film. And I just don't have time. And neither does my wife, because she has a lot of orders. Even though we are both self-employed, somehow we have created things where we are both working well over 40, 50 hours a week, easily. If you count all the time I spend managing my channel in terms of, responding to comments and dealing with problems that come up and all of that. Yeah, I work way more than 40 hours a week. And Jen probably does too. And so it's just easier on my life because I long ago chose for my channel, I looked at Rodney Smith and said, wow, that guy's got quality. Quality in spades. That's way too much frickin' work. I'll go the quantity route. I'll have a lot of stuff, and I still do that to this day. And that's kind of more my reflection anyway. I am not interested. The more polished you are, almost kind of the less interested I am, because it feels less genuine to me. And I'm don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Rodney Smith is not. Rodney Smith is one of the most genuinely kind people you will ever meet in your life. I have played a game with him. I have had lots of chats with him over the years. He is what it says on the tin. I'm not meaning to imply that, but there's still just something that feels. I feel like when I watch a very tightly scripted, beautifully produced video, that I'm kind of being held at arm's length. That I'm watching a presentation rather than a friend, rather than sitting down at a table talking about the game. I'm in the audience as somebody gives a PowerPoint about the game. And there's nothing wrong with that. And obviously people love it, because Rodney is literally number 2 King of the Hill. Or maybe number 3. Hardly matters. So it's just, what was I saying? Oh yeah. So anyway, so I chose 1 because it was too much work to do all that professionalism, and 2, it's just not the way I tend to roll. I went for quantity, and I'm still there, even though I'm trying to slow down in my old age. Look at this beard. I know you can't hear it, you can't see it if you're listening, but look how white this is. I was wearing a red shirt the other day, and Jen said, "Oh my God, you look like Santa Claus." So it's an act of convenience. Long story short, which is something I have to say a lot because I tend to blather. I don't prefer shorter games. I actually love the feel of a big, epic experience. That's where I got my start. Yes, I started on Pandemic, but the thing that really cemented games for me and Jen was Agricola. And Agricola, I mean, it's not the longest game out there, but it's certainly longer than the average Euro. And my wife and I still love that. It's just so hard to make that a reality in our lives now. Back when, before Rahdo Runs Who Ever existed, and I was still working in the video game industry, and it's just say, hey, on the weekends, we'll play a game for fun. There was nothing we loved more than sitting down for 2 hours and playing a game of Agricola and then setting up and doing it again for another 2 hours. It's just that is not compatible with our life anymore. It is much easier for me to get a game of Ares Expedition and something else in the time it would take me to play a game of Ark Nova. Doesn't mean I don't love Ark Nova. And when I'm rating stuff, and you're looking at games.rahdo.com, my rankings are a reflection. Well, it kind of varies all over the place. It's a reflection of like a combination of all the expansions. How does my wife feel about it versus how do I feel about it? But more than anything else, I like to think my games it's not objective. It would be foolish for me to claim that. But I like to think that, okay, the better game, the game that has the stronger design, the more well-considered experience goes up higher. And there's nothing against our Ares Expedition, but Ark Nova is the better designed game. It also happens to be a longer game. So in a perfect world, if I were retired, if you asked me, I'd probably rather play Ark Nova than Ares Expedition. But Ares Expedition is nearly perfect. It's not. And neither is Ark Nova for that matter. But Ark Nova bumps up because I kind of like big, heavy games more. And I take that into account. If you look at my highest ranked games, they're all really big, long, heavy games as a general rule. And then these lighter, quicker ones that you can get done in an hour, they start coming into a few of them are in like the top 50. And then they start becoming more common, in the bottom 50 and then like the top 200. Because at the end of the day, this is a reflection of how I truly feel. And I think a well-designed, big, epic game is a better game than a well-designed, tight little package of a game. And that's not to, but a tight little package game, like say Furnace, really has to work hard to stand toe-to-toe. In my deep down brain where I'm evaluating things not as a guy who has to play a lot of games every month, but as a guy who just loves games and appreciates games and made games himself for 20 years. All that said, you asked, what could Ares Expedition do? Well, for one thing, if you watch my run-through for Ares Expedition, I did point out I was very disappointed by the player scaling. They could have done better for 2-player, and I think Ark Nova does a better job of that right out of the gate. What else? Ark Nova has more variability in it. I mean, it's got that big stack of whatever it is, 300 cards, each one of them unique. So it has a wider variety of experiences that you will get from game to game to game. And now that's not to say the Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition won't have a wide variety as well, but I would argue not as wide as Ark Nova. And that's one of the other things that puts Ark Nova higher on the list for me. That kind of innate variability. And not just variability just to tick a box, but real meaningful stuff that makes you think about the game differently every time you sit down to play. And I don't think Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition does that as much. Don't get me wrong. What did I say? It's my number 127 of all time. That is a high praise. I rank it an 8.5. Whereas I only rank Ark Nova. Where is it? Oops. Oh dear. I'm searching in the wrong place. Ark Nova. Why is that so hard for me to type? Is an 8.6. No, an 8.7. We're talking about an 8.5 versus an 8.7. Not that much difference when it boils right down to it. They're both excellent. But that's kind of where my thought process goes, Gerald. Hopefully that answers the question. Continuing on. What would you like to see in a Civilization game that is missing from other Civilization games? I do love a Civilization game because I love building. I mean, that's why, Jen, I love Euros. We like building things. Instead of fighting things or killing things or stealing things or destroying things, we like to build things. And what better to build than an actual civilization? But what? All right. So I'm thinking Tapestry. I'm thinking Nations. Thinking Race for the Galaxy. That's a Civilization game. What do they not do? I'll tell you what they don't do. Diplomacy. As a general rule, a Civilization game has most of its interaction between players be the, oh, I'm going to build an army and roll in and steal your city there. Or it still exists, but it gets abstracted out, like the way Nation says, oh, there's this kind of abstract military race where if you're not as high on the military track as somebody else when a war starts, you'll lose a few points and they'll gain a few points, that kind of thing. That's fine. That's as far as I want conflict to go. But where are the games where where is the Civilization game where altruism is where? Okay, I'll go as far as say, where's the cooperative Civilization game? There have been I believe there have been some co-op variants for Civilization games and homebrew things, but something that's built from the ground up where, it doesn't even have to be cooperative. It just has to be, the reality is, when you're not going to war with your neighbor, real civilizations engage in trade with each other. They exchange ideas. They work towards a common good of the betterment of mankind. And yes, they can turn against each other, but that is so inconsequential to how much human beings, the reason we have been successful as a species is because we work together. And Civilization games do not put that front and center. They never do. Seventh Continent does. Seventh Continent has the very simple idea of, oh, I would really like to build this thing. I cannot generate stone. My neighbor can generate stone. I'll give them some stone. And the game implements it in such a way that, oh, I'm not stealing the stone. I'm just giving them some money. It's win-win. It's the real world is not zero sum. When nations, when countries, when individual people work together, it is not always I will gain something at your expense. That's not the way it really works in the real world. Otherwise, we would not have made it this far. And Civilization games simplify things down into zero sum. And that kind of bugs me. Anno 1800 from Martin Wallace gets this. In the same way, Seven Wonders. Unfortunately, not Seven Wonders Duel, which introduces all this really nasty, aggressive, I'm going to burn your crap to the ground, and I'm not even going to steal it. I'm going to steal it, but then I'm going to set it on fire so nobody gets it. Nasty. Why? That's not the reality of nation building. That's petulant. That's childish. So that's what I want to see more of in Civilization games. The fact that, hey, even if you're in a different nation than me, that we're all in together. That a rising tide floats all boats. And Civilization designers, they could try to work a little bit of that into the DNA of their games. That would be nice. Okay, continues Gerald, the last day listeners can send in questions to catch the current month's podcast. Yeah, because sometimes the emails come into questions at Rahdo.com and they're too late. And did you not get my email? No, it just came in too late. Basically, the morning that I film. Because I make this little Word document I'm reading from the morning that I stream. And so if it's a game-related thing, that morning. If it's personal, I'm going to film the other stuff with Jen tomorrow or the day after. And the thing is, what I don't want to do is, if tomorrow Gerald sends a bunch of personal questions in, well, I don't want to get mixed up and forget things, so I'm inclined to say, oh, you missed this deadline. So I would say, just in general, Gerald, if you go to twitch.tv/Rahdo runs through. I keep my schedule up to date of what I'm doing every week on Twitch Tuesdays. And you can see when I'm live streaming the next episode of the podcast. So you have until that morning, basically. Hopefully that answers the question. Okay, Joseph says, Troyes is often described as a cutthroat game because of how players can use each other's dice and push each other's meeples out of principal buildings. Based on past discussion of Troyes, you seem to believe it's not that cutthroat. I agree with you, but could you please explain your stance once again? I need to help explaining to others why this game is not so mean. I've actually talked about this several times on the podcast as well. Just a TLDR. I mean, if you go back, if you do a search in old episodes for Troyes, you'll find this. Okay, I'm going to do it. Hold on, right now, I am going to go to my, because it's easier for me to search through the descriptions of all my stuff. You can do it too, but it's a little harder to do. Let's see. I need to search in descriptions of every video on my channel, the word Troyes, Troyes. And then I just want to find the podcast episodes where I've talked about it. Okay, episode 73, I talked about Troyes. So that's probably the most recent one. Let's just actually look and see if the question was there. Because I feel like you're the third person this year who has asked me, Troyes? Why do you like Troyes? Troyes. Oh, okay. No, this one's something that dice values in Troyes. All right, so maybe that's not it. Right. Alrighty. Oh, then there's episode 56 where Troyes came up. Perhaps this will be the one. Troyes. Oh, no, that's talking about Troyes, the dice game. I know I've talked about it. Okay, but I can't find it. Arg. But there are a few ways you can search through my history of stuff on Rahdo and Stu. But the important thing is, when you're trying to play with your friends who thinks that Troyes is a mean game, just try to make them understand the dice in front of you don't belong to them. They don't. This is a dice drafting game. It's just a dice drafting game where there's a weird little quirk that some of the dice that everybody can draft from, because it's just one big pool of dice, some of them you can get for free, and other ones you have to pay a coin for. And those are the ones that are in front of somebody else. And if I want them, I give you a coin, I use that one. Because, that's one of the ones you can use for free, I have to pay for it. If you were to take all those dice and not put them in front of everybody, but literally just put them in front of a line, maybe people would have a better time understanding that you don't own those dice. Those dice they represent the people of Troyes who you can have you help, fight disease, build the cathedral, whatever it is you want to do, and you don't own them. So just don't think of it that way. Every time somebody would use a die that you've got, don't think, oh, you stole my die. Think, oh, I got a coin. Now I can use that coin to get that other die over there because I really wanted that red 6 and I didn't get any red 6s. And you took my red 1 because you wanted a red 1. That's the way I look at it. The pushing meeples out, I guess that's a little bit more cutthroat, but even still not very much because I still tend to look at it, I've got a free meeple now. What should I do with it? This is a new opportunity that has popped into my lap. Sure, all that's happened when you push my meeple out of, one of the dice generating silos, all that means is, that red die still exists. It hasn't gone away. It's just, it used to be, I got that die for free. Now I have to pay a coin for it. What's the big deal? It's just a coin. It's just a coin. And people are giving you coins all the time. You're giving coins to other people. To me, this is a literal positive interaction between players. So that's the way I look at it. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, then Joe says, which games covered by my mini contributors do I wish I had covered instead? Now, that's kind of a follow-on to the one from earlier. I know the instant answer for that is KNG, because KNG I was going to cover. I really wanted to cover it, but they said, our Kickstarter launches in November, and I'm like, I am way too busy. I can't possibly do it. And Shay said, I'll do it. That's isn't really my kind of game, but what the heck, I'll give it a try. Interesting side note, folks, the longer Shay appears on the channel, the less of an Ameritrasher he gets and the more of a Eurogamer he becomes. I have noticed from talking to him and seeing his attitudes change about games. Because I know what he says yes and no to. And there have been a lot of times he said no to a game that I think 2 years ago he would have said yes to. Because I've corrupted him with my Euro Care Bearness. But anyway, I so wanted to play it, I just simply didn't have the time to do it, so it went to Shay. And he did a great job covering it. And here's the problem. They ended up delaying until February or something like that, so I could have done it. And when they did, I thought about playing the executive card and saying, okay, you can send that back to me now. But I didn't, because by then he had already played it and he was really excited about it. So that's one. What else? You know what? Tell you what. Let's go back to the browser. Let's go to kimberly.rahdo.com. And this is just a list of everything she has covered for the channel. All right. Her second one she did, Return to Dark Tower. I have to admit, I had almost zero interest in playing that game. I thought, yeah, the gadgets of the live tower is neat. But she really made me engaged in that game. That was a great run through she did. And she really turned me around on that and made me think, I'm an idiot. I should have covered that. Same thing for Final Girl. She did the same thing. What else? First Empires. Wow, that is a brilliant freaking design. It is at the end of the day. I think it's probably still right that she did instead of me. Because it's still a little bit more cutthroat than I like. Kind of like at the same level of Deus. But, oh my gosh, it's good. Septima. I think I did say yes, and I think the publisher chose her over me. Okay, that's fine. What was that? Mind Clash? Yeah. So, yeah. Of the ones she's put up, those would be ones. Let's do the same for Amy and Maggie. Thinkerthemer.rahdo.com. Now, of course, they just started a couple months ago, so they haven't done as much. I was really impressed by Wonderland's War. I thought for sure, I would hate that game with a passion, and they made me think twice. Probably still not right for me. Probably still right that they did it. Run was so good. Oh my God. But I'm so glad they did it. I think their run preview they did on my channel is literally the best run through that has ever existed done by anybody on my channel in over a decade. So I'm glad they did it. Right. And honestly, if I had a copy of Twilight Inscription, I would have done it. I just don't have a copy. They did get a copy at Gen Con. It was like pulling teeth trying to get a copy sent to me. And I'm like, okay, well, you've got it. You've got stuff to say. What the heck? We'll have you do it. But I would have done Twilight Inscription if I could have. Shay, I'm sure there's going to be quite a few. But we'll just stick with Carnegie. So there's an example of just a few. So yeah, it totally happens. Make no mistake. Marlon says, your biggest letdown game of 2022, or asks, what was my biggest letdown game where I expected to love it, but just didn't do the trick I thought it would? Our biggest letdown. Well, see, as I talked about earlier, that's something that very rarely happens. But let me think if it has happened this year. Oops. Oh. Well, no, but it's not a big letdown game. Diamond Dig. I originally said, I read the rules and I thought, yeah, I'll probably enjoy this enough. It looks cute. And I've always wanted to try Ink and Gold and Diamant from designer Alan Moon. And this is him returning to Push Your Luck. And I thought, well, hey, I should give this a try. Because everybody loves Ink and Gold and Diamant. But now, hey, it's become a 2-player compatible game. Let's give it a go. And I probably should have done some more due diligence on it. We got it. We played it. And Bocha and I thought, yeah, this is just not our kind of game. We don't like it at all. And Kimberly said, oh my God, I so wanted to cover that game. And so we put it in the box and we sent it to her and she loved it. Because different people like different things. And she really enjoyed the strategic push your luck elements of that game. And we just discovered, boy, we only like push your luck if it's a tiny, tiny cog in a much bigger thing. If it to be all about push your luck, I guess I've learned, pass. So that would be an example. But it's not like it really let me down. I just kind of went in curious. I mean, a thing that I was like, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. And it's just like, it blew up in my face. See, I talked about ISS Vanguard. That was actually last year, but pretty close. And I went into that with some trepidation. I knew that was risky because I read the rules. I knew how much dice rolling there was, but I read all this other stuff that I was so in love with. The evolving, growing starship crew that you get over multiple adventures, and the narrative and the presentation and the design pedigree behind the game. And I thought, well, you know what? I probably won't be crazy about the dice rolling, but I bet you everything else will be so great. And I was really not crazy about the dice rolling. So that's one that, and Shay said, oh my God, yeah, I want to give that a try. I wish they chose me in the first place. And so we sent it to Shay, and it turns out Shay loved it because it's a game that fits his sensibilities better than mine. So, but still, I wasn't let down because I went into that a little trepidatious. I am hard pressed to think of a game that I was like, oh my God, this is going to be the second coming. And then, oh my God, how could I have gotten this so wrong? This was so absolutely terrible. Has that ever happened? Or at least I should say, has that ever happened since I started getting really aggressive vetting my games, and being really careful? Tell you what, let's go back to gone.rahdo.com and let's keep it sorted by date. You want to know about the last year? That's only 8 months. Let's look at games. Although what I'm not, games in the last, right, so bring it back over here that I've gotten rid of in the last few months. I got to come back to the browser. So, No. Three Sisters, I think, is fantastic. My wife didn't like it. But, right. So, yeah. I thought she would, but it didn't. So, all right. So, things I got rid of. I guess wormholes, because I was so in love, and I still am so in love with Tiny Towns, and this is basically the unofficial sequel, although it has nothing to do with it. It's just the same designer, same publisher. I guess that was kind of a disappointment. But again, I knew it was a pick up and deliver game. So I went in hedging my bets, assuming that, you know what, this just might not work out for me in Gen. And it turns out it didn't. So yeah, I mean, I wasn't let down. Right, so I'm going back. We're back in May now. I'm not seeing anything that was a huge letdown. You know what? Winter Kingdom. Winter Kingdom, I'll give it that. I'll say I had no reason but to expect Winter Kingdom was going to be even better than Kingdom Builder. Because I love Kingdom Builder. I think Kingdom Builder is amazing. And here's the sequel. It adds just all this extra stuff. And when I got it, I'm like, oh, wow. I think I'll just go back to King. That was a bit of disappointment. And again, don't get me wrong. I can see why many people, especially people more aligned towards my predilections towards heavy-duty hardcore Euros, like Winter Kingdom more, because it just gives you lots more toys to play with. But I think it just makes the game so laid back and easy. And then also, it just has terrible two-player scaling. The world is so big and huge, you never, ever run into any problems at all. It's just too easy. So that was a bit of a disappointment, that I did go in expecting great things. Or at least I had no reason not to expect that I was going to love it. And looking through, I think that's it. Yep, that's it. We're in January now. Let me just do a quick look. Nope. All right, so there you go. I found one. I didn't expect I would, but you were right to ask. Winter Kingdom. And again, I'm not saying the game is bad. It's just so threw away what made Kingdom Builder so great. And it turned into something else because it was placating. So many people have complained about Kingdom Builder for so long, how it was just too luck-based and people were unhappy with it. So, okay, well, let's just take all the... It wasn't, but they said, let's resolve those problems that don't really exist and make a different game for these people, and those people love it, and I'm just hugely disappointed because it got rid of everything that made Kingdom Builder so wonderful. Okay. Current top 10 Marvel Champions hero... or 3 villains. It's always going to be the same. Whichever heroes do the most for the alter egos. So like She-Hulk, Miss Marvel, and you know what? Both of the Miles Morales and Ghost Spider or Spider-Gwen. Pick one. Or pick any 3 of those 4. Those 3 characters probably do more to focus on the personal life, the real day-to-day life of those characters, and that's what I love about Marvel Champions. My least favorite is probably Hawkeye, because they completely ignore his personal life, and Quicksilver too. So, and villains, I really love Hela. Probably Hela is my number 1, because it totally flips the script and turns Marvel Champions into basically Lord of the Rings, the card game, and that's an amazing design feat, and I love it. And the Green Goblin, where Green Goblin becomes Norman Osborn. I know apparently some people say it's broken. There's some way that you can kind of exploit some weakness and just instant win. I don't care. I just think it's actually it tells really cool stories that our villain has to go into hiding every once in a while and become Norman Osborn. We have to deal with him. I think that's brilliant. And then, doggy. What else? Taskmaster. Taskmaster is another one that really flips, that does a great job. All 3 of these villains do a great job of taking place over a spate of time that it makes sense that, hey, every once in a while, our heroes take off their costumes and deal with their day-to-day personal lives. And, and so it like tells these bigger, broad stories. So Taskmaster, Hela, and whatever the other one was I just said. Norman Osborn, Green Goblin, but not the... Green Goblin just going crazy berserk, turning the city into goblins, but the business one. Risky Business, I think it's called. Right, so there we go. Marlon then asks, if I was asked to design a new Marvel Champions hero, which hero would I pick? And what would make special? Marlon, I don't design games anymore. I stopped doing that a long time ago. But, okay. What would I want to do? Okay. The thing I like least, other than the stuff I always complain about with Marvel Champions, they're throwing away what makes it special. Just in terms of the raw turn-to-turn mechanisms, I wish that they didn't have the, oh, hey, make all your choices and then draw some cards, which is the equivalent of rolling dice and see if it works or not. You know, the not the encounters, that's fine, but the boosts, the boost cards. So I would like a hero that just basically throws that away, that lets you say, hey, anytime you're going to boost, draw 3 and pick the one you want. I would want to do that. So who would that go on? That would go on a hero that can see the future. Is there somebody who does that? I'm sure there must be. Or luck-based heroes, right? Like a long shot, or Domino, or that's X-Men, or Black Cat. Black Cat. I want Black Cat. And I want Black Cat to use her good luck powers to be able to basically say, oh, I never get a bad boost. The boosts that always come my way always work out because I'm just inherently lucky. And then she has some kind of weakness to make up for that. You know, she's just a human. So she's going to have a hard time any other way, but the fact that things just always kind of go her way and the boosts just always go her way, that's what I want. I think that would be fantastic. And if you focused on, you know, Felicia Hardy's side as well, and her relationship, romantic relationship, entanglements with Peter Parker and stuff like that, or the fact that for a while she was a Kingpin when Kingpin sat down, wow. Yeah, Felicia Hardy, Black Cat. Although you know who else? I say this because once upon a time, I was working on Marvel Secret Wars 3, written by Greg Pak, and it was awesome. And one of the heroes I was most excited about, we put him in because we were working with Greg Pak, who's the writer of World War Hulk and a bunch of other stuff. At that point, Greg Pak was writing the Hercules book, and he had depowered Hercules. So Hercules was basically a regular mortal, and he had a whole bunch of really cool mythological toys to play with, like, you know, the Shield of Medusa and some sword of something or other. And those gave him his superpowers. He had a bow, and I thought, oh my God, this is so awesome! I love this Hercules. I would love that Hercules, but I'm sure, I mean, that must have been a decade ago, right? I'm sure that is long gone. But if that Hercules were possible, I'd want to do that Hercules because, I mean, he would put Hawkeye and all these other gadget-based characters to shame. That would be awesome too. Okay. Olivier says, I've never played the Loop. It looks like a fun co-op, but a bit heavier than Forbidden Desert and lighter than Spirit Island, which is what I'm looking for at the moment. And Olivier knows I rate it highly. Key takeaway that most reviews has that there's a really neat game that's a high amount of luck that's killed the game for a lot of people. I have seen that and I disagree with that completely. The game gives you all the tools you need to be able to anticipate what Foo's Tower is going to do and make informed decisions. But if you ignore it, if you don't, I mean, there's only 7 Foo cards. Okay, granted, the first couple that come up are going to hit anywhere. But after the first couple, you need to start paying attention to where is Foo going to hit? What is the biggest likelihood? And keep those carriers safe, and you'll be fine. And you won't say, oh, this game keeps screwing me. The game keeps screwing you because you keep ignoring the game. Anybody who says that. But regardless, anyway. Right. You can get destroyed by clones and rift cubes drop where they shouldn't without anything you can do. What you can do is anticipate where they're going to drop. But let's say you just choose not to do that. So anyway, Olivier continues, I didn't talk too much about luck in the final thoughts because it never occurred to me that was really a problem. Oh my gosh, those were the dubbed ones where there was no sound and I literally dubbed over my entire final thoughts. That was hilarious. Anyway though, in my run through, I played with Ultra Machina mode, which is the only way you can advance where you get to choose where the cube tower is going to go, or you have control over it. How do I like it compared to other modes? It's less, I guess it is, but I've played it in all the modes with the base game and the expansion. Luck is not an issue if you are paying attention. It's like playing Pandemic and completely ignoring what cards have been drawn when you shuffle them up and put them back on top of the Pandemic deck. You're like, oh my God, I had no idea Chicago was going to get hit again. What are the chances? Pay attention. And you'll prepare for that, and you'll know Chicago is a hotspot. But anyway, Olivier continues saying, a BGG user's proposed a variant where you play as normal, except that the rift cubes go into the tower after player actions instead of before. Okay. Which leaves the player time to prepare, a bit like you explore, build, ravage phase of Spirit Island. You'd probably have to play at a higher difficulty level to compensate, but it would make a lot of sense. I like that. I like planning. Forbidden Desert, knowing the storm's starting position, and Pandemic, putting the infection back on the drop pile. Do it better than, say, Flashpoint Fire Rescue, where you're completely at the mercy of 2 dice. Yes, yeah, that's a big problem I have with Flashpoint Fire Rescue. There's no way you can anticipate. You just roll dice, and it's just whatever happens, happens. That's not what happens in the Loop. The Loop gives you those tools. But anyway, it seems like the Loop's official rules, Loop is not as predictable, but it is predictable enough. And that's one of the things I enjoy about the Loop, that it's a roller coaster. That sometimes you're like, I have no idea what's going to happen. And that's like the first 3 or 4 turns after Dr. Foe gets his deck back, and he could strike anywhere. But after those are done, and those are like the panic modes, anything could happen, then he's only got 3 or 4 cards left, and you can make very informed decisions about, well, okay, if he lands there, we've got that problem. If he lands there, if he lands over there, we're fine. Okay, then. If he's going to land in one of those, that's the one we need to focus on. Go. Then draw the card and see what he does. If you play that way, I guarantee you won't have this problem, Olivier. And I suspect whoever you've been reading or watching did not play that way. But all of that said, I gotta say, that's a really good idea. I really like that variant a lot. For folks who don't know, the turn order is, at the beginning of a player's turn, a card gets drawn that tells Dr. Fu to point his bazooka of death at a certain section of the table, of the board, and then you drop cubes into his bazooka, and they get randomized into the place he's pointing to or the 2 spaces next to it. So you have imperfect information about where he's going to strike. And then after he does all that, then you get to go. What this is suggesting is brilliant. Hey, he turns to face the thing, but then you get to go, and only after you've done everything, then he drops the cubes. That's pretty cool. I actually like that quite a bit. I think the core game could have been that. But you're right, it would make this core game so insanely easy. Because the game is not that hard as it is, if you are paying attention. So I think this would be a great way, easy mode. I think it's a cool idea. I think that is an equally valid alternative way to design the game. If you feel you need it. So give it a go. It's cool. It's very smart, whoever came up with that. And oh my gosh, folks! We're done. Oh my goodness. That was a lot of questions. Or no, it wasn't very many questions, but that was a whole lot of answer from me. So, I am pretty happy with that. But hold on a second, folks. Like I said, I am streaming this live. So I'm just going to check in with the live crew. I'll be right back. Hey, everybody. I said there weren't very many questions. There were not, but I talked a lot. Succinctness is not my bailiwick. Let's see. Did you have any questions? I promised I'd throw them in, but I've so run out of time. Let's see here. I need to find my featured.chat, and let's see here. Switching alter ego. Curious intent is fight to escape. Oh, that's a game actually. Oh, shoot. These are actually good questions. Ah, man. Come on, folks. It's 2:00. I'm way over my schedule. That's why I unboxed 2 games, because I thought I was going to get through the questions too quick. All right. Love you, number 1. Okay, you know what? If I were to answer these in podcast form, this would take me a half an hour. These are excellent questions. Here's the deal. I am going to answer you these questions right now really quick in more back and forth live form, and then we're going to raid somebody. But let me just go back and finish the podcast now. Oh, folks, they had some very good questions, but I am running out of time for live streaming today, so we're going to call it quits right here, but if you hang on, we'll be right back, and I've got a few more game questions for Jen. So, and if you want to hear the rest of the questions they did, you can find this on your podcast stream. Remember, there is the bonus content that I always put out, and so you'll be able to have a few more questions in there if you want to listen to that in addition to the podcast. But anyway, folks, hang on, we'll be right back. Okay, podcast time is all done. Now I'm going to answer your good questions, starting with Tibby Baloo wondering, have I played my hero in Shoes Tactics yet? No, I haven't. They contacted me and they said, hey, what do you want your hero to do? And I said, as I said earlier, I'm not a board game designer. I don't do that anymore. But I said, what I think would be cool is, if you're trying to be part of the Rahdo mythos, I talk really fast. I run through things. Something that has to do with speed, something that has to do with a lot of forward velocity would make a lot of sense. So that's what I suggested. He said, oh, that's a cool idea. I'll give it some thought, and I haven't heard anything since. Alrighty. Did I hear about Crossing Oceans, which is Max Gert's reimplementation of Transamerica? I hope you cover it. Me too. I think Transamerica is great. Arguably, Transamerica is actually the better game than Concordia. And so I look forward to seeing it. I will talk about it when I get to my Essen preview that I'm going to be doing next week, late next week. So I'll talk about it then. But yes, I'm very excited because I thought did I say Transamerica? And it wasn't called Transatlantic, right? But anyway, I thought that game was great, and it unfortunately did not get as much love as it should. Tibby Baloo says, I know you don't like switching to alter ego form. No, I love switching to alter ego form. That's the whole point. I hate it. Most hardcore gamers of Marvel Champions say, oh, we have to switch into our clothes. That's always a failure. Anything that will let me just stay as a hero longer is the only way you can have fun in this game. I'm like, no, I have fun when I go home, when I go back to my job, when I have to balance my life with my superheroic side gig. And so, yeah, I mean, I love when a hero makes you transform. I loved, wait. But I was curious, Tibby continues, if their intent is that you fight the bad guy, they escape, you do not bring them, they scheme while you're not fighting them. See, Tibby, you get it. That's exactly the original design of Marvel Champions. And it's brilliant, and I love it. And as time has gone on, the design crew has moved farther and farther away from that, completely ignoring building up the intrinsic interest of switching to alter ego form and, going back to work. I mean, I love She-Hulk because she has alter ego stuff, which is all about her job as a lawyer that can help you stop the plot, because that just works thematically. Because I can fight him on the streets or I can fight him in the courts. I think that's great. And all heroes, not all heroes, like the Guardians of the Galaxy, they don't have their personal life. They only have their one life. They don't have an alter ego. So I'll forgive it there. But every character who is popular not because of their superpowers, but because of the human stories they tell, Marvel Champions, as time has gone on, is telling those human stories less and less and less. So you've got it, Tibby Baloo, in a way that it feels to me, having no direct communication with them, that the designers themselves have lost their way. I've forgotten. Okay, next up. Fred says, in what games does Jen routinely trash me? Most of them. I used to, many, many years ago, I used to actually use the Board Game Geek and keep track of all our scores and stuff like that. Jen won about, I forget, it was like 63% of all games, which means I won, 37% of all games, right? Which is not great. But she does better than me. She does better than me across the board except for a few things. One is, any game where you get an advantage for being able to anticipate what your opponent's going to do, she's at a real disadvantage to me there, unless she chooses to do it. She just often doesn't do it, whereas I am always paying attention to what she's doing. But that aside, I am generally better at a tactically focused game. She is better at strategic games because she has more patience than me. I am better at games that incentivize you to keep it lean and keep moving. Agricola is the best example of this. I almost always win Agricola because no matter how many, and we played this game probably, 30, 40, 50 times over the years. We used to play it like clockwork every Sunday for years before I started doing Rahdo Runs Through. She always overextends herself. She always dreams too big. Whereas me, I'm saying, just these 3 cards. This is it right here. She hates, for the longest time, she would refuse to ever get cards in Dominion that actually let her thin her deck out. Because she wants more. How do you like it? So that's a place where I tend to thrive in those situations more than her. But otherwise, she pretty much cleans my clock pretty readily. And then the other thing, when I do win, I tend to win by a few points. When I lose, I tend to lose by 20 points. Anyway. Next up, Railing Kill. What's a game you love to play but have never won? Yours is Fantastic Factories. Well, the thing is, probably most of the games I play, because most of the games I play them with my wife. She's going to win. And if we only play it a couple of times and then it goes on the shelf because I move on to the next thing. So, I mean, that's it. Most games for me. Because you just heard, I win 37% of the time. Am I doing the math right there? If she wins 63% of the time, 63 of the 7, yeah, I think that's right. So, I don't really have a good answer for that like you do. The thing is, I play so many games. If I played one game over and over and over and over and over again and it kept happening, but, I don't know, I mean, like Sagrada. Sagrada is 10 games, right? Which, by the way, don't forget, watch the top 10 Roll and Write games and listen for Ruel to say it, and you can win this. She won the first 5 games, I think. if I recall correctly. I was just on a huge losing streak, and I was getting kind of demoralized. But then when it got into the second half, I invested in other things because you get like, hey, if you lose, you can do these other things. And then I won some very, very big, important games. And if I recall correctly, I ended up winning the entire campaign just by a narrow margin because I won when it really counted. Righty. Let's see. Okay, I think that's all the stuff you guys threw in. You guys and gals. Thank you for sticking out this long. Wow. That was much longer than I thought. And wow, as promised, we are going to go raid the heck out of Ryan. What is he doing? Oh, that's right. I believe today Ryan started his Fisterfest, which is he's going to be doing a playthrough of, if not all Fister, he owns all Fister games, and he's going to be doing a series of Fister after Fister after Fister after Fister. And I'm looking, and he's got Boone Lake on the table right now, and Boone Lake is awesome, and Ryan is awesome, and just incredibly entertaining. So I suggest you stick around for this raid, folks, and tell Ryan I said hey. And use that Rahdo raid icon. We have new emojis where you can say Rahdo raid, right? So be sure to do all that, and you are going to go give Ryan the business in 3, 2, 1, raid! Go, 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 go! And let's see if that worked. Twitch.tv nights around a table. It's really a shame this interface does not give me any idea if it actually worked, so I have to actually go and look at him. Okay.
San Francisco? No, I don't know. Where are the cities too? Are the cities, do they mention city names up here?
And I don't see... Did it work? Yes, it did. Okay.
Cities up here. Isn't that a difference?
It looks like it worked, and maybe he just hasn't noticed.
Interesting. Cool. Those are the player boards.
Oh, he has no idea. His raid alarm is broken. Oh, his bullets are broken. Oh, no.
These are quite nice bags, actually.
Oh, well, he will notice eventually.
Well, quite nice.
That's embarrassing. Normally, he's really on top of that kind of stuff. But anyway, folks, I got to go do some editing now and get ready to film the rest of this with Jen. So thanks. If you've made it this far, then you're a real super fan. Talk to you later. So long. Bye.
Same cubes and the same wood.